Naruto woke up one morning to find the Sage of the Six Paths offering him a chance to redo his life, claiming it had been too convenient, and so with the request of the gods Naruto is transported back in time to relive his life from the beginning, ready to face new challenges and meet unexpected comrades. Onyx Eye surveyed the area. Time seemed to be frozen, with the debris from his and Naruto's previous attack being stuck in midair. Everywhere he looked seemed to be stuck in a single position, as if a person had taken a black and white picture of the area and they were stuck in it. Sasuke turned to Naruto, who was now lounging against the guardrail near the side of the bridge. What is this? Naruto raised an eyebrow. That's right. You've just gotten here. Naruto swept an arm out, indicating the bridge that was now frozen in time. Remember when I said that the gods would just reset everything? This is how they do it. They trap us in some kind of purgatory while they put the world back together around us. In a bit everything will slowly start to mend back to a certain point the gods believe was the least messed up by our meddling. Spots will be indicated for us to stand, and then bam. Action. Time is restarted. Sasuke raised an eyebrow as well. That's an awful roundabout way of doing things. Maybe, Naruto mused. But it works. Also it gives me a chance to talk to Naruto was interrupted when a wreath of flames appeared above him. Fire crackling as it impossibly whirled in the air. The smell of brimstone became apparent as the orange flames contorted into a shape. Sasuke looked on impassively. Sharingan activated in case something dangerous appeared from within the miasma of flame and hate. Naruto looked as well. Then he moved to the side. I'm not falling for this again. Naruto grumbled as he moved from directly underneath it. The flames writhed and whistled, until a shape that could be described as vaguely Naruto was formed in it. It twisted and bent until more and more features could be seen, before stopping on a near-perfect replica of the blonde Hokage. Son the orange jumpsuit. The apparition looked around, before noticing Naruto. Shifting slightly, it transfixed itself directly over the orange manchild and then dropped, the flames dying away to reveal a Kyuubi like Naruto which was now on top of the real one. Said perversion of nature laughed at Naruto's misfortune, before sparing a glance up. Red eyes meeting red eyes. Kurama simply laughed at the Uchiha's presence. I see you've been dragged in here too, Kurama stated, a cheeky smile on his face. That makes a lot of sense. Everyone involved with the past seems to be able to exist in this purgatory. Sasuke tilted his head. Why are you so small too? Can't you control your form? Kyuubi shot a dark look at his container. I ask the same question. Why do you people assume I know the answer to these kinds of things? Sasuke shook his head. Honestly, I don't know. You don't know the answer to simple math, let alone the theories of quantum and temporal physics in relation to chakra-sustained entities. Naruto scowled. You threw in some unnecessary words in there on purpose. Maybe, but it still messed with you. Naruto scowled, but didn't respond. Smirking, Sasuke acknowledged his victory for what it was. So what were you saying before Kyuubi dropped in? I was saying that being here gives me a chance to talk with him. Sasuke asked. Do you mean Kyuubi? Don't you talk with him all the time? Kyuubi shook his head. Perched on top of Naruto's now prone body, the fox seemed rather comfortable using his host as a couch. He even started picking at his nails. No, not me. There's another person here with us. Usually he's here by now though. Another person? Who could that be? On cue a flash of light exploded from the air in the middle of the bridge. When the flash subsided, Neji emerged, confused and slightly disoriented, dropping to the ground and landing on a knee. The Hyuga looked around before settling on Naruto. He immediately formed realization. Oh, it's just you again. What do you need this time? Neji started, but was momentarily distracted by the sight of another person in the time void. The pure white eyes of Neji's met the pure black ones of Sasuke and silence pervaded the landscape. Sasuke was the first to break said silence. With a sneer, the man turned boy addressed the one in front of him. 3 tomoe spun in each eye as he stared down the person across the bridge. Hyuga. Veins bulged around Neji's eyes as he responded in kind to the open hostility. Uchiha. I didn't expect you of all people to be here. Did Naruto drag you back here too? Sasuke's eyes momentarily darted to Naruto, who was rather enjoying the scene. Focusing with a deadly intent, Naruto decidedly stopped enjoying it as much. After a few seconds of a potent glare, the Uchiha turned his attention back to Neji, who just stared him down, his face perfectly impassive. I was told that the idiot had no idea how I ended up in this situation. You're saying you were brought here? I was. Neji responded. A smirk appeared on his face. You appear disgruntled, Uchiha. Were you upset by this turn of development? I wasn't. Sasuke, who was scowling slightly at the thought of Naruto's possible deception, fixed his face. It was once again a picture of complete disinterest. I admit I was annoyed, but nothing to disrupt me in any way. As is well known, the Uchiha is the foremost clan in Konoha. Not that you would know that. You didn't survive to see its future. Neji's brow furrowed slightly, but he otherwise didn't react. That is true, Uchiha. It appears your clan has learned how not to lie. I did indeed die, but at least I died ensuring the future of said village. Around here Neji gestured towards Naruto. More than you've done at the time. Last I recalled you were unmistakably absent during a large amount of Konoha's history. Sasuke's jaw clenched. I was going through some stuff to ease my soul. I was attempting to avenge my family. My closely knit and loving family. Know anything about that, Hyuga? Why yes, Neji remarked. A sneer was evident in his eyes, but nowhere else on his face, which was like a stone slab. I had a loving cousin and a doting uncle, beginnings notwithstanding. Frankly, I'm surprised you know what a loving family was like. Weren't your beginnings, a little rough? A whole night of rough. Naruto and Kyuubi both winced at that. Sasuke almost did, but managed to keep his face featureless. Are they having an impassive off? Seems like it. This is getting a bit much though. Was there any hatred between the Uchiha and Hyuga clans? I don't remember any. I can imagine no other reason for such venom. Well, whatever the reason, this is getting good. No reason to stop. My clan may have been reduced to a fraction of its glory, but it is now on its way back to its old stature. Sasuke grunted. How is yours doing? Last I checked your heir is mated with the class idiot. Except that. Naruto grunted, getting ready to stand up. He was held down by Kurama. Shush, boy. It's getting good, said. Class idiot is your Hokage now. At least I've never had to answer to him. At least I've never lost to him. You did that one time, Naruto yelled. Sasuke shushed him. That was an honorable time, Neji smirked, his eyebrow raised, getting heckled. Uchiha genius. Sasuke's eye twitched. Fine, Hyuga, you win this round, but I don't suppose I'd expect anything less from a clan of statues, and I wouldn't expect anything more from a clan of emotional wrecks. That's it. Wanna go ghost eyes anytime? Pinwheel eyes. Neji's comment struck extra hard when Sasuke matured his Sharingan to Mangekyo. Hey, Kurama, let me get in on this. I have some grievances I need to air out as well. Kyuubi dutifully moved, getting up and stretching. Naruto flared his chakra once or twice before advancing to where the other two boys were heading. On his way there, nature chakra manifested itself around Naruto's eyes, turning his pupils into a sideways bar. Heck yeah, let's mess things up. The three boys made their way towards the center. A Rasengan, a twirling, twisting sphere of pure chakra whirled in Naruto's hand as he approached a meeting point arbitrarily decided in a central point between all three. The sphere spun and twisted, whirring with an obvious, audible whir. After a while, wind generated from chakra alone begun to spin around it as well, finishing one of Naruto's more dangerous techniques. Wind style. Rasengan. Sasuke smirked, seeing Naruto's technique flare to life. The Uchiha decided to respond in kind. Bearing his left hand to the side, Sasuke focused his chakra to it, before allowing it to permeate and coalesce. Eventually lightning erupted from his clawed hand, crackling and chirping as it remained barely restrained in the boy's clutch. Focusing, the Chidori technique eventually condensed and became more dense. The chakra condensed more and more until the electricity practically screamed to be released, and only then did Sasuke allow the armor of his Susanoo to cover his arm. Now clad in purple chakra, the skeletal hand transferred the power of the Chidori to the Susanoo, effectively allowing the chakra to be released and form an arrowhead. I hope you enjoy this. Indra arrow. Naruto smirked. I see you're becoming serious. Don't you think that's too powerful for a little punch out for you? Sasuke asked, his smirk widening. No. Well said, Naruto responded, before looking at his own technique. Well, I guess I have to respond. Sand style. Sand, from seemingly nowhere, coalesced from the air and combined with the wind-natured Rasengan easily due to their shared nature. Halfway to formation, however, the sand collapsed and fell away from the Rasengan, returning the ability to its pure wind form. What? Naruto asked. What's wrong? Sasuke asked. Naruto was unable to answer. I dunno. Let me try again. Trying again, Naruto attempted to draw on a different tailed beast's elemental chakra. Deciding on Son Goku's, Naruto allowed lava to feed into his Rasengan. The lava flowed easily at first, but then crumbled away once more, leaving only the wind-styled attack. Brat, I can't sense much of the others in you anymore, Kurama commented from the sidelines. Sasuke heard such. What? But I thought you retained your tailed beast chakra. I did, Naruto yelled, looking at his Rasengan. It spun true and fast. Even in this form it was a notable source of destruction. Regardless, Naruto stared at it as if it held the answers for his question. I even used some for that kunai I threw XXX. Speaking of such a kunai, the blade pierced through air, shining in a multitude of colors, arcing through the air in a beautiful path of destruction. The blade, on its way around the world, noticed that everything around it was seemingly stuck in place. Not liking this one bit, the blade changed direction, impossibly again, and set out to find the source of such a blight on its existence. XXX, that might be the problem, brat, Kyuubi stated while watching from the sideline. Think about it. You shouldn't have the connection to them that you did in the past. Future. Whatever. The connection isn't there anymore. What you had then is gone now. What you put into that kunai was the last of what you had left over in you. Your Bijuu chakra is gone now. At this, Naruto's brow furrowed. peering into his wind-covered Rasengan. The blonde then raised his hand into the air, and the wind chakra forming a shuriken around the construct widened until its hum turned almost deafening. If that's the case, then give me a couple hands Kurama, I'm only doing this because I'd rather see the Uchiha suffer. You know you love me. Orange chakra then sprout from the blonde's arm, forming 3 clawed hands that swiftly went to work on the technique. 2 more shurikens started spinning around the Rasengan, joining the horizontal one there before. Spinning diagonally from the original and perpendicular to each other, the humming increased twofold. Sage Bijou style. Omni Rasen Shuriken, Naruto yelled with a grin on his face. Seeing the monster technique for what it was, Sasuke couldn't help but grin as well. You've been busy. Dead last. Can it survive my arrow though? Survive? This baby can cut through everything, Naruto yelled. Not to mention it has a type advantage, well my arrow can pierce through anything. Are you ready to see which one would win? Naruto nodded ecstatically. This shuriken has been known to cut through atoms. Good luck, bastard. Then both boys turned to the third in the group. Hyuga Neji stood there, gaping at the sheer power emanating from both boys' techniques. To be fair, Neji supposed that the man who would go on to become Hokage would be suitably powerful. Even back during the war, Naruto wielded the Kyuubi's power to an unimaginable degree, proving himself to be one of the strongest shinobi of the time even back then. And, to cite another point, the man who purportedly fought such a character to a standstill would also be suitably strong. This was insane. Apparently both boys had grown in power exponentially since Neji's last real encounter with them, as they now toted weapons and abilities that eclipsed even the last ones he remembered. The crackling of Sasuke's technique, Indra's arrow he called it, and the humming of Naruto's Omni Rasen Shuriken together was simply deafening, and just being in the vicinity of the two put an enormous pressure of chakra on the young teen. Even now, before the two gargantuan techniques even met each other, could the residual aura of pure power be seen battling for dominance. Black electricity, for it seemed to be the Uchiha's theme color, sparked and struck at the ground and air in various directions, only to be cut by the erroneous blades of wind that leaked off of Naruto's technique. The very action of cutting said bolt of lightning, however, was enough to dispel the wind, leaving the two techniques at an impasse. Frankly, Neji wasn't sure he wanted to butt heads with either boy anymore. Sasuke glared at the Uchiha, before sneering. What's the matter, Hyuga? Are you getting cold feet? Of course not, Uchiha, Neji countered, though his voice was unsure. I'm just thinking of a way to counteract this technique of yours. The Hyuga have many abilities in our arsenal. I'm just thinking of which one to use. Is that so? Sasuke responded. His voice had a condescending, knowing tone to it, as if he knew exactly that Neji couldn't respond in kind. His sneer widening, he chose to rub salt in the wound. Naruto and I have been using techniques like these for years. In our last serious clash, we destroyed the Valley of the End and completely restructured the landscape. Do you have anything that can match that? Neji swallowed hard. Restructured the landscape? That was first Hokage levels of power. This was the state of the two boys when they were weakened? What were they like at full power? Perhaps. Neji lied through his teeth. Really? That's so cool, Neji. It took Sasuke and I several years to come up with this kind of power and control. You really were a genius. Neji. Naruto looked at Neji with sparkling eyes. Put off by Naruto's enthusiasm, Neji felt a pit of anxiety in his stomach. Why yes, truly the Hyuga are a clan of geniuses, Sasuke said, dragging out the last word. Sarcasm dripped off his every word. Naruto turned to glare at him. Not this again, Sasuke. We just ended the, whatever it was, that you two were doing. Where is this all even coming from? You were never like this towards Hinata, or Bolt or Himori. They are part Hyuga too. Himori even has the Byakugan. Neji's eyes darted back to Naruto. His glare towards Sasuke was turned into a look of incredulity at the young Hokage. Naruto and Hinata's daughter, was it had inherited the Byakugan? Neji wasn't a bloodline freak like the likes of maybe Danzo or Orochimaru, but even he was intrigued at the potential behind the potent chakra of an Uzumaki combined with the bloodline limit of a Hyuga. They don't count, idiot, Sasuke responded, oblivious to Neji's shocked expression. The children also have half of you in them. My animosity towards the Hyuga would be far outclassed by my indifference towards you. Besides, it's impossible to hate Hinata of all people. She's just too much of a perfect, beautiful angel. Naruto responded for him. Dart. In not quite so many words. Yes. Quite even so, Naruto continued without missing a beat. Whatever transgression you two have against each other can be put on hold. I won't have it tainting the purity of what we have before us. We're about to punch each other with definite, lethal techniques with the ability to kill everything bar the strongest of Bijus. That's me. Kyuubi piped up from the sideline. Quite, Sasuke responded. Speaking of which, where is your Bijuu busting technique? Hyuga Neji, who had been absorbed in the dialogue switch, immediately started sweating upon his repositioning in the spotlight. Engaged in the conversation, Neji completely forgot about the deadly fisticuffs he was being commissioned to join. Give me a second, Neji mumbled. Going over his techniques in his head, Neji realized that while his gentle fist technique was unrevealed, bar none, it was more of a normal shinobi's fighting style, not the kind of thing that would be suitable to the all-out warhead capabilities of the two before him. It was like bringing a gun to an atomic bomb fight. Still, the Hyuga boy had to come up with a technique that would seem even remotely on the same level as the dense, destructive weapons before him. Looking over his known abilities, Neji was forced to admit he had no such technique. His Kaiten, while strong, was a stationary move. If he were as unfathomably powerful as the two before him, he might have supposed it would stand a chance. He wasn't, however, and he doubted he could defend against an arrow that could pierce anything and a shuriken that sliced atoms. So that left his 8 trigrams, 64 palms. Somehow, he doubted that he would survive long after attempting to poke either of those monstrosities, especially after they clashed. Seeing no other option in sight, Neji began to panic, when a thought came to mind. Positioning his arms to his side, bending at the elbow in a perfect 90-degree angle, Neji braced himself before channeling chakra to his hands. The chakra pulled and churned, roiling around inside before exploding outward. Focusing on molding the errant power, Neji focused as hard as he could to direct the chakra into behaving how he wanted it to. It took some getting used to, but eventually Neji managed to cause the chakra to form 2 intricate tiger heads around his hands. Hey, isn't that's Hinata's technique, Naruto screamed, realization dawning in his eyes. So you stole the lion step from her? Stole, Neji stammered. No, if anything, this is my technique as much as it is hers. True, she came up with the idea, but I walked her through its execution and theory. It's only natural that I would know it after helping her with it after so long. Neji then looked down at his own hands, positioned perfectly and rigidly at his side. Though his form was perfect, and Neji was confident in his control as a Hyuga, Hinata was simply better than him at certain things. Those certain things included chakra control, and as such his tigers fluctuated every time Neji lost a bit of focus. I always focused on power over finesse, though. So while Hinata perfected the technique and made a perfect replica out of it, I drew something else, and it was here that Neji's stance brought him closer to the ground in his stance. Preparing himself, Neji brought out a low, soft yell as he funneled more and more chakra into the twin lions. Their features blurred, expanding outwards with more and more energy until the visage of their original form was more of a suggestion than anything. This being the case, the lions' manes now covered most of Neji's arms, and the heads themselves were now bulbous, swirling behemoths twice the size of what they were before. I have to thank you, Naruto. This technique was based partly on your technique. After seeing it, I wanted to have a powerful ability just like it, in case I ever needed a trump card. It can't demolish things like normal Rasengan, but used on anything chakra-based will completely decimate whatever it hits. Neji then smiled at Sasuke. Quite like your attacks. Hold up, aren't you underestimating the gravity of the situation? True, your attack is impressive, but aren't you forgetting something? That little trick will only work if what you're cancelling isn't so massively stronger than what it's fighting. Your attack isn't even near what Naruto and I have. You seem scared, Neji stated simply. Yeah, scared, Sasuke, Naruto parroted. Sasuke gained an enlarged vein on his forehead. You know what? I don't care anymore. Time to see if we can die here. And like that, Sasuke took off. Seeing that things were starting, Naruto quickly followed suit. Neji stood there, looking at his unsure technique as it flickered between being recognizable and not. Stealing himself, the Hyuga took off after the two, his attack paling in comparison to the much larger things before him. After only a few seconds he found himself staring down the two abilities that, even now, clashed with titanic pressure. Realizing his mistake for what it was, Neji could feel his mortality dawning on him. Not one to back down from a decision, no matter how terrible. Neji simply closed his eyes and pushed his modified twin lion step technique forward, only to be immediately blown back. Ugh! Our Neji yelled as he tumbled across the time-frozen bridge. Eventually his momentum died and he was able to sit upright. Looking around, the boy was able to make his bearings. Apparently he wasn't the only one to be catapulted, as Naruto and Sasuke, techniques cancelled and dissipated, lay in similar heaps in directions equally far away from the impact site. Floating midair at said site, the Sage of Six Paths resided. Grimacing at Naruto especially, the venerated man spoke. It seems I can't even leave you alone in the past and hope that you won't get in trouble. Naruto chuckled while still prone on the ground. Sasuke didn't have as good a nature. Hey, Gramps, why does no one show the literal progenitor of chakra and ninja society any respect? Neji asked. He was collectively ignored. Do you have any idea why I'm in the past? Naruto told me it had something to do with you and some other gods or whatever. I think it's his fault. Which one of us is right? The sage, after sparing Naruto a second, final glare, turned to his other descendant with a sigh. In a way, both of you are. Pardon, Kyuubi asked, his piqued curiosity dragging him out of his languidness. How is that so? The sage of six paths rubbed his temple. This would be a long conversation and, considering its participants, likely aggravating. Do you remember when you first met your teacher the second time around? The sage asked. Naruto nodded his head. Of course, Gramps. It went well, if you could call that well, Kyuubi muttered. The sage caught onto it. I'll have to agree with Kurama's sarcasm on this. Whatever happened during the greeting period of Team 7 the second time around was anything but well. Because of some circumstance that the gods are refusing to admit, Sasuke was irreparably scarred. He started changing, going down a path that he wasn't meant to go, at least this early. The sage then turned to Sasuke, who felt suddenly uncomfortable under the gaze. Of course, this is no problem. Like every other thing you've tried to change, the gods would simply change things back and restart the timeline. I fail to see the connection. How did I end up back here? Yes, the sage muttered. Unfortunately, because of that occurrence, every time we tried to reverse the timeline to fix Sasuke, he would inevitably be snagged on it, anchoring himself to where he was and remaining unchangeable. Because of this, the Sasuke of the past became glitched, and we were forced to make him catatonic to stop any forced changes. We already had one troublemaker going around making things difficult. We didn't need another. At these last words, every available pair of eyes turned to Naruto. He chuckled nervously. Sasuke continued the conversation. Somehow, I can't shake the feeling that you were the one who messed up the past me. You're lucky you didn't change me forever. What do you mean? Neji asked. Naruto did something to change me. Or at least the past me. Hyuga. I still feel fine. So whatever it is that he did during the first meeting didn't change me too much before I was brought back. So I can overlook it. If it had, however, I'd be furious. What the hell are you talking about? Naruto started, before realization dawned. That's right. We never told you either. This is an alternate dimension. What we do here doesn't affect our timeline. Sasuke quirked an eyebrow. It doesn't. No, it doesn't. Naruto responded. So Sakura and Sarada are, they're frozen in time in our original world. Just like you were before you were brought back. For whatever reason. Wait, you named your daughter Salado. What did you name your daughter? Hyuga. There was silence. I apologize, Sasuke mumbled. Neji, albeit in a slightly raspy voice, responded. It's fine. Indeed, Hagoromo responded from his place floating. He had not moved, and instead was patiently waiting for the sidetracked conversation to return to its place. He was starting to run out of patience. Are you guys done? The sage was met with nods. Sighing, he continued. I'm already starting to doubt the gods' decision in this whole matter. I know they act completely on a whim, but you lot tend to get distracted far too easily for this plan to go anywhere near to how it's supposed to. Anyway, our solution to the Sasuke plan was only temporary. It was better than letting his altered, irreversible alternative run around, but a catatonic Sasuke itself was a change to the timeline. Things were being altered because of the boy's change in demeanor, and there was no way to fix it without referring back to its problem, which in itself couldn't be fixed. After a while, the changes were spiraling out of control, and the decision to bring the original back became a much more viable option. Hagoromo turned to Sasuke. Having you in the past to act it out, no matter how reluctantly, was deemed more satisfactory than not. Sasuke didn't like the sound of that. This being the case, he accepted it in stride. A burning question came to the front of his mind, however. Wait, then in all of that, what exactly did Naruto contribute to make me come back? Hagoromo gained a creepy smile on his face. For that, you should ask Naruto. Either way, congratulations. Welcome to your new hell. And like that, the sage was gone. Put off by the sage's parting words, Sasuke turned to his best friend and rival with a confused expression on his face. Seeing as Sasuke, even in the past, barely emoted beyond annoyance, this was a difficult thing to perceive. Having known the man for so long, however, Naruto was easily able to make out the expression. Naruto gestured. Sasuke shook his head. You should already know the question I want to ask. You've hung around Shikamaru enough. At least some of his brains should have rubbed off on you. Neji, who was now forgotten on the sidelines, momentarily pondered on what happened to Shikamaru. He would have to ask about him later. Naruto pondered. He was sitting on the ground, legs crossed, as he held a hand to his chin and thought. You probably want to know what happened during the first Team 7 meeting that may have affected you to know what part I had in bringing you back. Sasuke rolled his eyes at the elaborate explanation. That would be correct. Dead last. Well, the answer to that question would be that I don't know. What do you mean? You don't know? Sasuke asked. He was incredulous. I mean that I have no idea. As far as I know, everything went the same as it did last time. Sakura talked about how much she was in love with you. Sasuke shuddered at the thought of his wife's stalking habits. Her old stalking habits. Dear gods, he hoped it was her old stalking habits. Thinking over their relationship, however, Sasuke remembered the fact that his wife had elected to go on a top secret, definitely lethal mission just in order to spend some time with him. Nothing out of the ordinary, especially considering the high class and level of ninja that both spouses turned out to be. No, what was out of the ordinary was that the woman was pretty obviously terminally pregnant with his daughter at the time. So much so that Sarada was then born on that very same mission. Taking a second, Sasuke shuddered once more at the thought of what exactly the kind of woman he decided to marry. Of course, Naruto caught none of this and continued his explanation. Then you started complaining and going yada blah 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 about being a big wuss. I'll have you know that I was preoccupied with the extremely important task of avenging my clan. All of that complaining was necessary when I had to kill someone as competent as. Sasuke petered off. Realizing something, the dusk-eyed boy fell to the ground, his legs giving way under the gravity of his revelation. Naruto, Itachi is. Yeah, he's alive. Whatever. It's my part of the story now, so listen up. Naruto interrupted, completely uncaring of his best friend's emotional state. I will kill you one day, Sasuke muttered while standing up. Yes, I love you too. So anyway, after you were done bitching about killing your brother or whatever, I introduced myself, which you now have ninja introduction cards for. Kyuubi snickered. Oh, you made them back in the past too? I just used them to explain Naruto whenever I couldn't be bothered. Glad to see they're being put to use now as well. And gave a little speech. You went all logged on us afterwards. And now here we are. Honestly, you probably showed more emotion as a vegetable than you did normally. Also, he did a dumbed down version of the talk no jutsu. Oh, yeah. And that too, Sasuke froze. You did what? Sasuke asked slowly, fear creeping into his voice. Why the hell would you use talk no jutsu in our first meeting? Didn't Kakashi ban that? He didn't ban it in this timeline, Naruto screamed in protest. It doesn't matter. You know how dangerous it is. No wonder the gods couldn't reverse the damage. You can't reverse that forbidden abomination. Well, how the hell was I supposed to know that my technique could alter reality affecting abilities of gods? You weren't. Sasuke admitted. But that hardly matters. You shouldn't be using it regardless. There is no reason or excuse you could possibly make that could justify using that. You know that I don't do it on purpose. It just kinda yeah. I'm signing off from this conversation. And just like that, Hyuga Neji disappeared in a flash of light. Naruto and Sasuke had broken into a fist fight. A brawl more than anything. The two fought well until the time stop ended. The air was sweet with the scent of dew and wet grass as Team 7 made their way through the forests that surrounded the hidden leaf. Rain had just barely settled not too long before the group departed from their completed mission, leaving the sun to poke out through patches of dirty grey clouds. This same sun shone rays of golden sunlight down through the canopy of leaves overhead, giving the path that the four walked on a somber mood. Naruto, of course, could only yawn at such a sight. I can't believe they still named it after you, Sasuke grumbled. He shuffled along beside his blonde-haired best friend as they trailed behind Sakura and Kakashi. They walked just slow enough to be out of earshot, but not slow enough as to be lagging too far behind. Seeing as there was no immediate danger to be had, the four could walk in relative peace as they trudged through the dirt and occasional muddy spot. Why wouldn't they? Naruto asked. They wanted to name their bridge something awesome. So who better than me? I don't know, Sasuke responded. They did have me. You're right, they did. I wonder why you weren't picked, Sasuke snickered. Same reason why I wasn't picked for Hokage. Pity. Oh ha ha. This banter continued well into the forest. It wasn't until they were upon the cusp of the village 2 days later that the boys stopped. By then, their arguing had grated on the other half of the team's nerves. I'm happy you can talk and all, Sakura said, rubbing her temple. But do you really have to continue this nearly as soon as you recover? Yes, Naruto answered. Currently his fist was buried in Sasuke's cheek. To be fair, the raven-haired boy's was also in his, so there was no love lost. I was asking Sasuke-kun, Naruto, not you. As much as it pains me to say this, the idiot's right. I have to assert my superiority immediately or the class loser will get too full of himself. Sasuke's smirk was downright challenging, a point Naruto immediately picked up on. It's hard not to get full of me. There's just so much of me to go around. There isn't, Sasuke replied. It just seems like it because of all that hot air you're spewing. It's hard not to be full of hot air when you keep trying to set me on fire. Well, I'm sorry Wellpool, maybe you should learn some water dew. And as if it never stopped, their banter continued again. Sakura had to block her ears. Sensei, Sakura asked. Her silver-haired teacher had been doing a valiant effort in completely ignoring his 3 charges. Unearthing his head from his book, Kakashi looked over his pink-haired student. Yes, Pinky Sakura had been given that name some time ago. She had never endeared herself to it. She ignored it at first, hoping that it would fade with time. Evidently it had not, but she still held out hope. Taking a moment to calm herself, for she knew if she showed any reaction whatsoever it would vindicate the silver-haired man. She responded, "Is there nothing you can do about this?" Sakura gestured to the two boys who had by now started to pull each other's hair and clothing. "They'll listen to you." Kakashi spared a glance behind himself. Indeed, the two boys had reduced their shinobi training to biting and clawing at one another. Whatever suspicions he had about the blonde before wavered before the sheer natural feeling the two gave off. Rivalry and pure-hearted distaste didn't run that deep without some sort of history. This being said, it only raised suspicions about Sasuke. The boy had been little more than a walking vegetable for about as long as the man had known him. Hiding that fact from his Hokage had been difficult, but it was also just something that he had grown used to. To have it changed, seemingly immediately, only pricked the Jonin's danger senses even more. Kakashi wasn't a gambling man. He wouldn't bet anything if he wasn't sure he would win, and by that point it wasn't even strictly betting anymore. A very long time had passed since the man decided that he wouldn't ever bet against his danger sense, and he would surely look into the two more closely than before. Which reminded him, what Sakura asked. Kakashi had started staring at her, rather than the two problem children she had asked him to address. Looking over the girl with a critical eye, Kakashi sighed before turning back to his book. "I can't be bothered to stop them. As the fairer sex of the team, I feel it should fall to you to correct them of their ill behavior." What, Sakura screeched. "That's sexist maybe, but that's my excuse." And thus, with a huff, Kakashi found his traveling partner stomping off behind him to break up the brawl. Seconds later, Kakashi almost winced at the sheer pressure of the hit that struck Naruto's head. Bemoaning the strike, Naruto was vocal in his displeasure. "What the hell was that for?" Naruto yelled. "Sasuke was fighting too. Hit him I would, but he actually listens when I talk to him." Unlike some people, Sakura was absolutely livid, but the hit still hurt Naruto more emotionally than physically. No, what really aggravated him was the smug smirk on Sasuke's face as he stared down Naruto behind Sakura's back. Kakashi shook his head, before turning back to his book. Out of all of them, Sakura was the one student who didn't give him a cause for alarm. Given her civilian background, it only made sense that she wasn't adept at hiding anything substantial. Her presence was both relaxing and efficient, as her annoyance kept him from having to break up the two fledgling shinobi, though her skill at doing so was also a cause for concern. Kakashi shook his head once more as he buried himself ever deeper into his book. This was a successful mission. He would enjoy it while it lasted. He would leave the paranoia for when they were back in the village proper. XXX, the mountain looks so much better without your ugly mug on it, Sasuke stated. Both he and Naruto sat atop a water silo, the very same one that he and the blonde destroyed, if he recalled. Dangling short legs and tired hearts, the two reborn children had finally managed to ditch their other two teammates. The sun was setting, painting the sky in a shady orange hue that was interrupted only by the fleeting clouds that dotted its canvas. "I dunno what you're talking about. I almost forgot it was there." Naruto, unlike Sasuke, was lying down, eyes closed and head resting on his folded hands. He was enjoying himself immensely. Not too far from where they lounged was a ramen shop, and the evening winds blew the smell of the noodles directly to where they sat. "Of course you would. You had the misfortune of seeing it every day. I'm only ever in the village like twice a year, sometimes not even that," Naruto added. Sasuke nodded. "I used to hate the work schedule you gave me. Ever since Sarada was born, I wanted to spend every waking second with her. Now I can see it for the blessing it is. If I had to see a giant version of your face every day, I'd probably defect again. Good luck with that," Naruto said. "I won't send Hunter Ninja after you, but I don't know how well you'd avoid your wife." Sasuke raised an eyebrow. "Do you really think Sakura is strong enough to beat me in an all-out fight?" Naruto asked. "No, definitely not. But you're too much of a softie to fight her all out. As we both know, if you don't kill Sakura enough times, you're going to lose to her." Sasuke scoffed. The action was so very Uchiha it only made sense that he did it. If Sakura knew that someone was holding back on her, she'd definitely smash them into paste. Limits or not though, I think I can still beat my wife. Naruto laughed. It was deep, and hearty, and full of such wisdom that it was out of place on the goofy young blonde's face. "Dude, I don't think you can beat your teammate Genin Sakura, much less your wife. The second slug Sanin Sakura. You just can't bring yourself to hurt her anymore." "Excuse me, I take offense to that. I have the power of gods and the embodiment of hatred." Sasuke put his hand over his heart, feigning pain. Naruto laughed at Sasuke's display. "And yet somehow, you still lose to your wife. I saw you earlier, bastard. When Sakura asked you out on a dinner date, it took everything in you to refuse." Sasuke chuckled. "Oh, don't think you're off the hook, idiot. Kurama told me that you've been avoiding Hinata like the plague. What's that about? Why am I not surprised the bastard fox is telling you everything? Sasuke shrugged. Whatever. I'll tell you the same thing I told him. I just haven't gotten around to talking to her yet. Bullshit. Sasuke pointed at his best friend, eyes daring him to contradict the statement. You're still feeling guilty about her, aren't you? I have no idea what you're talking about. Yes you do. I haven't the slightest. Naruto, be serious. Fine. Naruto said, throwing his hands in the air as he relented. I still feel a little bad. She loved me for so long, man. How can I face her, especially a child her, knowing how much I made her suffer and wait? It's unbelievable. At least you didn't try to shove a blade of lightning through her chest, Sasuke joked. Naruto laughed along. To be fair, she also tried to poison you. Have you tasted her cooking? Sasuke asked. She does that all the time. Oh, is that the real reason you're never home? Forget redeeming and repenting. You just wanted to get out of eating Sakura's terrible food. The two boys laughed uproariously at that, reverted back to their childlike, undeveloped voices. The two sounded as if two raucous boys sharing an equally childish joke. Their laughter echoed and reverberated throughout the alleys and buildings which surrounded them. This was sure to disrupt those that lived among such abodes, but neither cared. Very rarely had they the time to laugh together, at least in their own time. They would enjoy the situation while they could. Eventually the two managed to calm their spirits, reverie dying down with their laughter. The two returned to a somber silence as the sun managed to nearly complete its descent beyond the horizon. Naruto, Sasuke began. His tone was low, a far cry from what he was not a minute ago. Be honest. Will I see Sakura and Sarada again? Naruto scoffed. You managed to avoid your wife and daughter for so long that by the time you finally saw either one again, you barely recognized them. What's so different now? Before? What I mean? Sasuke seemed to be stumbling over his own words, sucking his teeth. Naruto hit the boy on his back. It's just me, asshole. My opinion of you couldn't be any lower than it is all the time. Just let it out. Sasuke didn't seem to appreciate the gesture, but relaxed at the words regardless. Fine. The difference is before, back in our own time, even though I was gone for years, the option to come back was there. I knew that I wouldn't be returning anytime soon. Somewhere, deep down in my heart, I still don't feel like I've repented enough to deserve holding the child of that wonderful woman, you pansy. I told you that they didn't care. No one cared. They just wanted their papa and husband back. Still, Sasuke continued, I couldn't return. All the evil I've done and the lives I've ruined count towards something. You and I both know that even now. Then, so many years after the Fourth Shinobi War, and people still had attempts on my life. So what that the big people in charge forgave me? All the common people, all the men and women that I killed, whether directly or indirectly, still had grieving families. Who am I to enjoy my family while they grieved their own? It was war, Sasuke. You know what happens during war? Yes, I do. But more than all of that, I was a direct cause of it. Even if my part was small, it was still a part. Tell me, Naruto, do you think that it's fair for me to sleep easy and happy after all the pain and suffering I've caused? No, Naruto replied. Sasuke smiled. If there was anything about his best friend he enjoyed, it was his brutal honesty. But that doesn't mean that you should beat yourself up over it forever. You've done plenty to make up for your wrongdoings. 12 years of exile from your own family, something you've wanted for so long. Don't you think that's a lot? Sasuke shook his head. Solemnly he stared at his own left arm, occasionally opening and closing the fingers on his hand. He was still not used to its extra weight quite yet, and moving with it was more off-putting than anything else. Combined with the lower center of gravity and shorter reach, and overall everything was rather disorienting. This arm was both something he didn't want nor need, yet he was gifted with it anyway. It is. I've done a lot in the name of your service and your honor, Nanadame Hokage. And yet, it still feels like it's not enough. It's never enough. And yet, I could do it forever, if I had to. Why? Naruto asked. He had sat up. Because I know that I have a loving wife and a beautiful, powerful daughter at home. Sasuke lifted his left arm, using it to encircle the Hokage mountain with his outstretched fingers. I may not be able to reach them. No, I know I may never have had that ability, but the idea of knowing they were there was enough for me. I was protecting them, both in my mission and exile, and that was enough for me. Now, though, now they are far away, in a place I can't even imagine. I feel cold and empty. Surely you feel it too? I do, Naruto replied. Knowing your family is in a place you can't go to leaves you empty inside. No amount of ramen can fill that void. So you understand? Sasuke asked. You know what I'm talking about? Of course I do, bastard. I'm not that stupid. So answer my question. Will I see Sakura and Sarada again? Not this tiny Sakura, and not some other Sarada that might spring up in this timeline. Will the gods return me to see my baby girl and my beautiful wife? That's all I need to know. And then there was silence. It seeped into the atmosphere like water into fabric, as it soaked the tension in the air to its very roots. After a bit longer, Naruto finally broke the staring contest the two were engaged in, before taking a deep breath. Yes, Sasuke. You will see them again. And I will see Hinata and my children as well. Believe it." At this, Sasuke chuckled. It was an Uchiha chuckle, born of many generations of pride-filled egomaniacs who suppressed the urge to laugh. Somehow, your idiotic reassurance was all I needed. I hear my voice alone calmed the troops after the invasion that wasn't an invasion. Idiot. Sasuke laid down next to his blonde brother. That was your son who sabotaged all the village alarms. Yes, and it was my voice that calmed everyone afterwards, of course it was. You were the only one who could understand the mind of a prankster child like him. You're just jealous because. Their banter continued well after the son had finally said, XXX. So what's this about? Sasuke asked. His left hand was fixed solely in his pocket as he and his two other teammates stood in front of their sensei. Naruto had convinced him that he couldn't simply cut his arm off and be done with it when they returned a week ago. So instead he settled to having it rest in his pocket. Eternally. I've nominated you 3 to the Chunin exams. Congratulations. The 3 students stared at their teacher. In one hand he held the book he had his head all but buried in. In the other, he held the 3 consent forms that belonged to them. The reason they knew it belonged to them was because their names were already signed on the signature lines. And what if we don't want to participate? Sakura asked. She had her hand lifted, but was reluctant to retrieve the paper from her teacher. Their names were already there, in perfect replicas of their own signatures. Accepting the paper from him would be akin to accepting the situation he had all but forced them into. You don't have that option, Kakashi said. He hadn't removed his eyes from his book. The man looked like he couldn't possibly give any less attention to this situation if he tried. What are our options? Naruto asked. Accepting. That's one choice. That's not an option then. I'm glad you understand. What if I make my own options? Sasuke asked. What if I burn those scrolls? Solving our problem immediately. I don't think you'll do that, Kakashi hummed. And why not? Sasuke's voice rose in challenge. Because you wouldn't want to burn yourself. What are you talking about? Was about as far as Sasuke got before he realized that the papers were no longer in Kakashi's hand. Looking around, he saw that in Sakura's raised, but not outstretched, hand was the registration form with her name on it. Clearly as confused about the situation as her crush was, Sakura was reduced to only being able to stare at it in bewilderment. Okay, I'll bite. How the hell did he get this in my hair? Naruto asked, fiddling with the rolled up registration form that was impaled by his unnaturally pointy hair, resisting the urge to laugh and seeing the pattern. Sasuke looked all over himself, before finding his own form stuck in his back pocket. Pulling it out, the raven-haired teen thrust it as far from his body as possible. I'm not participating in any little game of yours, Kakashi. If I don't want to be in the exams, then I will. It was around here that the students present realized their teacher was gone. What the? Naruto. Where the hell did he go? Naruto shrugged. Hell if I know. Aren't you the one with the fancy eyes? They weren't on you, blonde-haired bonobo. That sounds like a problem for you. Sasuke yelled a silent scream. I told you that we couldn't change anything, Naruto said. Finally pulling the paper from his hair, he unrolled the parchment to see that it, around the many holes from his hair, indeed had his signature perfectly scrawled. This is rather impressive, actually. Tell me about it, Sakura answered amidst Sasuke's continued cries of rage. I started practicing my professional signature maybe a month ago. To get it down this well when I don't even have a full grasp of it is impressive. Well, I guess it does make sense, Naruto stated. The Uchiha had taken to biting his shirt to contain his screams. Not that the blonde cared in any way. He is known as the copy ninja for a reason. I bet he only needed to see it once in order to predict how it would become. Wait, but I only ever practiced it alone. In my room. At night. How did he manage to see it? Sakura asked. She was doing a level job of ignoring her crush's temper tantrum. Were your blinds open at any time? They were not. Then I think that says more about our sensei than I needed to know, Naruto said, a creeped expression on his face. Upon noticing that his pink-haired teammate did not share the sentiment, his eyebrow quirked. Are you not worried about this in any way? The man could have been spying on you, in your room, and you don't even know how. Sakura quirked her eyebrow as well. Oh, no, not at all. Actually, the pinkette then turned back to her raven-haired teammate. He had started to set the training ground on fire, and surprisingly the fires didn't immediately recede. The young medic-to-be did a stellar job of ignoring the Naruto clone with fox ears that suddenly appeared and started to help the young Uchiha. Why not? Naruto asked. To be honest, he was too used to carnage and destruction to be affected by the relatively tame chaos that was erupting around him. Trees crackled under the now intense fire, but neither genin regarded it with alarm. He's our Jonin sensei. He's pretty much supposed to be spying on us. Naruto shook his head. No, I'm pretty sure he isn't. Oh come now, Naruto. It isn't that bad. Sakura, I crawled into your tent one night by accident and you almost launched me into a river. I don't see your point. The nearest river was several miles away. Well, you did invade my privacy, Sakura said. And Kakashi isn't. Naruto all but screamed. It's not the same, Sakura responded. And how exactly isn't it? You don't have pictures of what I did with Sasuke while he was comatose. For a while the clearing was enveloped in silence. Well, as silent as it could be considering two people were running around setting fire to everything in sight. You know that's blackmail, right Sakura MHM? Sakura hummed, looking not the least bit interested in the conversation. I'm not sure it's legal to blackmail your students. Naruto knew for a fact it was illegal to blackmail your students. Konohamaru came to him multiple times asking to do the very same in regards to Bolt. Naruto wanted desperately to allow him the right way a ninja. Naruto. Concepts of right and wrong are lost on us. That sounds like something Kakashi would say. Sakura hummed. She dodged a burning log that came soaring from the inferno that used to be a forest. Apparently the two had decided that burning down the training ground forest wasn't enough anymore. They had to beat it into submission now as well. You know you can do something about it. Complain to the Hokage. Naruto fished for an idea. Sakura shook her head. I don't know where he keeps the pictures, Naruto, but he keeps them relatively close to my raven-haired hunk. Naruto shuddered at the phrase. With a straight face, Sakura completely ignored her blonde teammate's reaction to her words, and calmly flipped to the second page of the registration form in her hand. Taking a small, square slip out, Sakura looked at it with distaste. Even if I managed to get him apprehended for what he's doing, he would get the pictures to Sasuke before that. I couldn't bear to lose face in front of Sasuke, especially now that he's finally not in a coma anymore. Naruto snuck a peek over his female teammate's shoulder. The image captured therein almost made him gag. It wasn't anything sexual, but it also wasn't something he'd ever thought he'd want to immediately forget. Its content was so mind-numbingly embarrassing that he felt sorry for all those participating in it. The way Sakura seemed to now cradle the picture didn't help his disgust. This being the case though, Naruto made it a personal mission to retrieve the photo at a later date. Such things were great blackmail material. With a chuckle, he realized he was planning on using the picture for the exact same reason his sensei did, though on different people. Turns out he learned something from his silver-haired teacher after all. I'll play along with Kakashi-sensei's game for now, but as soon as his guard is down I'm reclaiming what's mine. And then, Sasuke-kun will finally be all for me. No strings attached. Naruto was forced to chuckle at the dark vibes he was getting from the girl. It was sinister and foreboding, and honestly the 36-year-old man was getting creeped out by it. If I didn't know any better, I would say that it was you, and not Kakashi, that took those photos you're so afraid of, and he just happened to get a hold of it. Sakura's silence was not reassuring. Sakura Naruto, Sakura stated, her voice low but somehow echoing over the sounds of carnage around them. You'll play along, right? Sakura asked. Naruto wasn't sure, but he could swear he could make out demonic figures dancing in the fire that surrounded them. Play along with what Naruto asked. His voice was shaky and cracked a little. Don't be dumb, Naruto. I know you're smarter than you let others know. For the first time since their conversation started, Sakura turned to Naruto fully, staring into her normally vibrant, green eyes, revealed only dead, dark orbs. Blank and distant, Sakura cupped her hands to her cheeks as a manic smile crept on her face. I'm so happy Sasuke-kun is back. And now that he's back, and finally with me, I won't ever let him go. You won't do anything that would take him away, would you? The tone she had used let him know that refusing was not an option. Good, Sakura stated, and instantly the aura of crazed death was gone. As soon as it disappeared, Sasuke had emerged from the slowly repairing tree line. He was sweating but otherwise calmed down. Hi you two. I'm fine now. Are we ready to take the Chunin exams? Of course. Sasuke-kun. Sakura beamed. Her smile was absolutely blinding, and judging by the barely repressed smile on the Uchiha's face, it was obvious that he thought so too. Sasuke basked in his future wife's amazing enthusiasm, before noticing that it was coming only from the one source. Turning to his other teammate, Sasuke scowled when he noticed Naruto's face was paler than a sheet of paper. What's wrong, Naruto? I would have thought that you of all people would be excited about this. Naruto's answer was silence. Naruto, are you Alri? Sasuke Naruto asked. Sasuke tilted his head. Yeah man, what's wrong? You look like someone just told you ramen was banned. Naruto shook his head. Remember that time we talked about certain habits of certain? Naruto looked at Sakura. Her smile was happy, a little too happy. Certain people in our lives. Sasuke nodded. He too looked at Sakura. Upon finding nothing wrong, he turned back to his friend. Of course I do. What's that got to do with anything? Naruto clasped his hand on his best friend's shoulder. You have absolutely no idea. And with that, Naruto slinked off, looking for all the world like he had seen everything wrong in the world and didn't know how to process it. Sasuke watched him go, confusion evident in his eyes before eventually Sakura latched onto his arm. The Uchiha's first instinct was to preen under the attention, but belied that thought as soon as it occurred. This wasn't his wife, the future top medic of the shinobi world. This was just some lowly genin who quite honestly worshipped the ground he walked on. If he didn't know any better, he would even go on to say that his wife was a fangirl. Okami. And instantly Sasuke's genius brain clicked. This in fact wasn't his battle-hardened princess who had spent years coming to terms with her obsession, and strengthening both herself and her career goals. This was a damaged, low self-esteemed girl who wanted to validate herself amongst her peers by using him as a prize. She was unstable. She was crazy. But these were all things his Sakura was as well. No. This Sakura was someone he did not know. And the thought of how she handled his coma and the large amounts of withdrawal she was facing because of it became readily apparent. There. A glint in her beautiful Viridian eyes revealed all he needed to know about what Naruto left him with. This Sakura was only slightly insane. And it would take a while for him to revert her. Do you want to go on a date? Sasuke-kun, his pink-haired angel, asked. Her tone told him that refusal was not an answer. Good, Sakura stated. And just like that she dragged him off through town. Most likely to some restaurant. There was laughter. There was laughter somewhere in the village. It was faint. But following the Uchiha. The boy wasn't sure whether the mirth originated from Naruto or the gods themselves for putting him in this situation. But Sasuke decided he didn't care. He would get back at the both of them for their transgressions. There would be no alternative. Hiruzen steepled his hands. With his chin resting on them, he eyed the person in front of him with stern, critical eyes. Said person stared back, his both energetic and sparkling eyes coming close to disarming the aged Hokage. Shaking the feeling, the third addressed his visitor with only a little confusion. So what brings you here today? Naruto, the man known as the professor, asked. With a bright, alluring smile, the genin responded. Is it too much to ask that I spend some time with my favorite grandfather figure? Naruto asked. Hiruzen frowned. The only time Naruto ever referred to him as such was when he wanted something. Thinking over the events that happened in the blonde's life recently, the old man attempted to figure out what such a thing could be, so he could accurately refuse him it. If there was anything Hiruzen learned over the years, it was that when an Uzumaki wanted something, it was usually not good. You cannot have a free ramen coupon, Hiruzen calmly stated. When Naruto simply shook his head, Hiruzen cursed, though inwardly. I don't want that, Gramps. I know you can't do it anyway. Indeed, upon becoming Hokage, he tried to force Ichiraku's, which was now run by the owner's daughter, aim, to give him free ramen for life. Mountain destroying power or not, he was not able to survive the ladle whacking she gave him that day. Hiruzen quirked an eyebrow at Naruto's revelation. That was a surprisingly coherent thought. Perhaps his latest mission had opened possibilities for the young man? Speaking of which, you will not get another C-class mission, especially after the disaster of your last one. You seem to attract danger, and I do not need anything else so perilous to befall you. Naruto laughed at the old man's declaration. I don't think I'll be going on any missions anytime soon. The Chunin exams are right around the corner. Hiruzen felt a bead of sweat trill down his brow. The man had administered the event and completely forgot about it in the face of the blonde child. Picking up a random piece of paper from his desk, Hiruzen pretended to read it and come to a startling revelation. Yes. Kakashi nominated you 3 and you accepted, of course, Naruto chirped. The exam papers were still in his back pocket. Yes. I see. Well, good to know. Hiruzen then proceeded to light his pipe in an attempt to save face. Naruto decided to let him do so. Well, if you're not here for any of those reasons, Hiruzen started, now content with chugging on his pipe. Then why are you here? What if I really did want to just spend some time with you? Naruto asked. Hiruzen found the idea laughable. Because that's not who you are, Naruto, Hiruzen responded. He then stopped, took a few drags on his pipe and pondered something. Turning back to his young charge, he frowned. You cannot learn a new jutsu from the Forbidden Scroll. Naruto laughed. Did you keep it in the same place? Well, no, Hiruzen admitted, not at all flustered at revealing top secret information to what could possibly be the worst person in the village to reveal it to. Then I don't think I would have found it anyway. Haha. The shadow clone technique alone was enough to bore me half to death. Hiruzen nodded. He was surprised Naruto was able to sit still long enough to learn anything from it at all. So, why are you here? Hiruzen asked for the third time that day. I just wanted to spend some time with you. I find that exceedingly hard to believe, Hiruzen responded. Naruto scratched his head. Why can't I do something without some ulterior motive? I don't know. Why can't you? Hiruzen threw the question back in his face. Frowning, it took all of Naruto's will to not fly into a tangent. I haven't always been devious. One time you pretended to be devastated by the mistreatment of the villagers towards you in order to get close enough to me to steal my hat. To be fair, I actually was devastated. Just not enough to warrant not stealing your hat. One time you pretended to be interested in the Anbu task force enough for me to tell you where the paint we used to color their masks was manufactured. Hiruzen continued. That one wasn't even that bad. Their masks were hot pink for a week. Naruto, so it's a matter of national security. Naruto, I couldn't use any of the new operatives after that. Do you realize how much money you cost the village for that stunt alone? No, Naruto admitted. He looked a little sheepish. But I do know the Anbu chased me for several days after that. That they couldn't catch you shames me to this day. That's only 2 times. Naruto said. Hiruzen smiled. Do you realize we have an entire archive dedicated to you? Rows upon rows of files dedicated solely to documenting your exploits have been arranged for the sole purpose of validating this exact moment with a snap. Hundreds of thick manila envelopes appeared in the third Hokage's office. Do you wish for me to go over each one? Naruto shook his head violently. With another snap the documents were gone. Where was that hidden in the future? I know you've snapped in the office before. That had never happened. Kyuubi, I just don't know. So as you can see, Hiruzen said, quite unknowing of the conversation in Naruto's head, you lean more towards ulterior motives than not. The only real question is what exactly it is that you're vying for. Maybe, this one time, I'm actually just here to see you, Naruto said. Hiruzen chuckled. Oh, is that so? Yeah, it is so, Naruto yelled, slightly upset that he was being doubted. And what brought on this desire? Hiruzen decided to humor the child. I dunno, Naruto admitted. You never know when you might lose something. You're the only person who really cared for me for such a long time. You've been there for me since before I can even remember really. Maybe, I dunno, maybe I wanted to talk to you a bit. Outside of necessity or punishment, Hiruzen's eyes softened at the blonde's declaration. For a moment his aged visage seemed to catch up to him as the old man contemplated the words of the youth before him. For a brief moment, the desire to reach out and embrace the young man before him, the same of which he had raised from just a wee babe, almost overcame him. That moment, however, was aptly brief. Recognition sparked in the aged and wizened man's eyes, and a gentle smile beseeched his face. This is a distraction, isn't it? Hiruzen asked. Oh yeah, and just like that an explosion sounded out somewhere near the tower. Jolting to his feet, Hiruzen rushed to his window to see multicolored particles of dust raining down in front of him. Is that paint? Hiruzen asked, only half wondering where the boy could get such an amount. The other half was completely unsurprised, because Naruto had a penchant for doing something that made no sense. So trying to apply such a concept to him was ineffectual. That being said, seeing as to where the paint and chalk dust was falling, Hiruzen had no illusions as to what was hit just now. Really, Naruto? The monument again? Hiruzen asked, whirling on the spot. By the time he had turned, however, the boy was already gone. Oh, phooey, the ancient leader huffed. There was no use sending the Anbu to capture the genin. The bot had already proven that he had no trouble evading the force for long. Naruto would turn up eventually. All Hiruzen would have to do was wait. Turning with the patience of a true commander, there was only one thought that rested in his mind. I wonder what he did with it this time. Meanwhile, very far away, Naruto sat on a branch of a very tall tree that overlooked the village. The dust from the launched paintballs still covered the mountain, so the fruits of his labor was still yet to be seen. That being said, Naruto still basked in the glow of his handiwork. The handiwork, of course, not being the graffiti he had wrought. You think the old man caught on to the fact you really were just there to see him? Kyuubi asked while manifesting to sit on the tree next to his host. Naruto shook his head, before leaning against the trunk of the tree. Time hasn't reset, has it? How do you feel? Are you content with the time you've had with him? Once the exams start you won't get another chance. I'm fine, Kurama. The old man had been dead for far too long already. I can handle him going again. He had lived and died in peace, and with a resounding smile on his face as I've been told. I have no regrets. The sight then fell into silence as the two watched as the smoke settled. Besides, I don't think I could come up with another prank as grand as this. Disguising my visit as a distraction was the only way I could talk to him. Indeed, the Kyuubi chuckled. The evening sun shone its orange rays over the village. In the setting sun one could just clearly make out the myriad of colors that decorated the four Hokages' faces. Saturated with chakra, the paint shone in different colors depending on where you looked at it, overall lending to a dazzling, if not disrespectful, scenery. Out of all of this though, one thing could be made immediately discernible. Of all the fire shadows, only the third's face was left unmarred. Naruto smiled. I'll miss you, Gramps. Thank you for everything. XXX Sasuke smirked when he saw the hysteria Naruto wrought upon the town with his newest prank. The Uchiha would never say it out loud, but he missed the kind of heavy-handed sophistication that Naruto's pranks held. His son and heir, precocious brat as he was also a talent when it came to the art of mischief that his father pioneered. He however didn't, for all his talent, have his father's class when it came down to it though. On cue, a zealous ninja attempted to get to work cleaning the mountain. The goop immediately responded to the chakra source and swallowed him whole. After a few seconds the poor man was spit back out, appropriately doused in multicolored paint. Oh yes. He would praise the blonde for his ingenuity. They wouldn't be getting the monument clean until they finally caught the man. On a side note, Naruto's grades in stealth and reconnaissance was still unmatched even to this day in the future. It was truly a shame that the man preferred straight-up combat. Sasuke-kun, a voice rang out, and instantly Sasuke could feel a shiver run up his spine. Retreating into the shadows of the leaves of the tree whose branch he sat in, Sasuke held his breath as he waited for his pink-haired teammate to pass. She did so without incident, and Sasuke was abruptly reminded of his mission for the day. Let's see if I can't put Naruto's record to shame, the Uchiha mused, before disappearing into thin air. Sakura had a penchant for finding him. He didn't know how, but she would always know his general location. Now it was just a matter of how long it took her. XXX Sakura roamed the village, her green eyes scanning over everything she could set her sights on. Buildings, alleyways, even behind aisles of stores. Sakura looked everywhere for any sight of her raven-haired teammate. In her gut she could feel that her love was somewhere in her general vicinity, but always he would disappear right as she was about to get a lock on him. Simply put, it annoyed her to no end. Sasuke would always be just within her reach, but immediately, like the wind, he would vanish. The frustration she felt consumed her every thought, and as such the Pinkette didn't notice the 3-foot-tall child. Somehow only Sakura fell down from their collision. Rubbing her butt, she looked up to see a small child clad in a scarf that was several sizes too big for him. After a few seconds he was flanked by 2 other equally tiny children, 1 male and 1 female. The girl had outrageously styled hair that seemed to regard gravity as a suggestion more than a rule. The boy had the exact opposite problem. The way his nose was running seemed to suggest a particularly deep grudge with the planet-wide force. Konohamaru, are you okay? The girl asked as she reached him. Her voice was high-pitched and she was missing a tooth. But considering her age that was fine. Yeah, we heard someone crash, the other child said. His snot hung from his nose like a pendulum, and Sakura had to wonder how he managed to talk around it, or why he didn't just wipe his nose. I'm fine Moji, Udon the kid in the lead announced. It'll take more than some girl to keep me down. Sakura was incensed by the boy's comment. She rose to hit him, and for a moment the boy seemed startled by her actions. Just as she was about to hit him, however, a hand grabbed her wrist. Turning with righteous fury, Sakura prepared to whack whoever stopped her as well, only for her anger to be immediately disarmed by a legendary smile. Showdown? Sakura Naruto asked. His smile put the sun to shame. Nothing. Naruto Sakura responded. For some reason Naruto gave off this aura that told her dissidence was a fairly unhealthy course of action. Oh. Naruto responded, his smile not faltering in the least. Cause it'd be troublesome if you hit the Hokage's grandson, especially so close to the Chunin exam. Sakura's face paled. She then turned to the boy she was about to assault, whose impetuous face was completed by tiny folded arms. You're the Sandame's grandson? Well yeah, Konohamaru responded. Yeah, I am. And more importantly, Konohamaru pointed to the blonde ninja who had saved him. What's it to you, brother Naruto? I thought you knew how I felt about being treated specially. Konohamaru's tone sounded almost hurt. Naruto chuckled at it. Well, I can't help but treat you specially, because after all, you are special to me. Naruto then made his way over to the child and ruffled his hair, but not for being the Hokage's grandson. Konohamaru's eyes lit up. Really? Then why? Well, that's obvious, isn't it? Naruto asked. Konohamaru shook his head vehemently. His eyes were sparkling as he looked up to his idol. No, it isn't. Tell me, brother Naruto. Well, if you really want to know. Yes, we want to know, brother Naruto. Moji piped up. Yes, tell us. Udon assented. At some point he had pulled out a handkerchief to clean his glasses, but not his nose. His nose was left oddly untouched. Fine, but only because you 3 asked me. Are you ready? Yes, the 3 children chanted as one. Their excitement was hard to ignore. Well, the reason Konohamaru is so special. The 3 children leaned forward as one, wanting to be as close to Naruto as possible, as if the action would let them know sooner. Yes, the 3 asked. They were near bursting with anticipation, and thus leaned forward even further. This brought a grin to Naruto's face. Because, yes, the kids all but screeched. He lets me know where you guys are, so I can use you all as punching bags. And just like that, Naruto had bopped all 3 children on the head. As one they fell to the ground, both from the hit and the shock of being duped, and even Sakura lost her balance a bit. After a bit Sakura recovered. Naruto asked, turning around. Something wrong? Sakura, what was that for fun? Naruto answered, bewildered at her confusion. If they couldn't dodge that, it was their own fault. I was going really slow. Sakura shook her head. She brought her hand up to her forehead to massage there. You can't just hit civilians like that. Sakura then gestured to Konohamaru. Especially the Hokage's grandson. Hey, said grandson shouted. He was indignant, and his posture reflected that. I'll have you know that I'm a ninja in training too. One day, I'm going to be the Hokage. Believe it? Sakura winced at another person repeating Naruto's catchphrase. She turned to her blonde friend. You've been teaching him. Is it that obvious? Naruto asked. Sakura looked back at the trio of kids. The other 2 who stood behind the Hokage's grandson had remained quiet, simply letting Konohamaru do the talking. It was clear who the leader of the group was, but despite this, the look in their eyes as they stared down Naruto was evident. They all but glowed with admiration for the young man, and even Konohamaru, albeit grudgingly, showed the same reverence. A little, Sakura replied. It was wholly obvious, but she decided to be tactful. Big brother Naruto has been teaching us lots, the girl known as Moji chimed. Her smile was wide and innocent. So innocent, in fact, that Sakura wondered whether she had that naivete when she was the girl's age. Yeah, Udon said around sniffles. Though he mostly just hits us. Mostly just hits you. Naruto asked, one golden eyebrow raising in challenge. Should I train you some more? How about right now? And no, that's not necessary, big bro, Konohamaru said, his voice in a whisper. Slowly he backed away from the older boy. We're still recovering from our last beatdown, Konohamaru then caught himself. I mean, training. We're still recovering from our last training session. Oh, no. I couldn't possibly deprive such young, willing minds from the wonders of my instruction. Sakura could hear the malice in Naruto's voice. So palpable was it that Sakura couldn't help but feel pity for the brats she felt hostility towards not 3 minutes ago. So kiddies, are you ready? Naruto asked. He stalked towards them with an unbecoming smile on his face. The three children were visibly shaking now, and it wasn't long before their base instincts took over and they chose preservation. As one, the trio took off, kicking up a dust cloud behind them as they escaped. Cackling, the blonde genin chased them, though at a more sedated pace. Sakura stared at them from behind. Standing still, Sakura attempted to make sense of what she just witnessed. It was a relatively simple concept, but she refused to wrap her head around it. I don't want to go check on them, Sakura stated. I don't have to go check on them. Her Sasuke senses tingled. It was in the general direction of where her compatriots just ran. I feel like I don't have a choice in the matter of whether I go check on them. No, she didn't. XXX Naruto was only a little surprised when he came across his student being held in the air by a familiar, if not younger, hand. Konohamaru was suspended above the ground by the collar, smirking at the child he had in his grip. Kankuro of the Sands was downright pleased. Leave him alone. Temari of the Sands, Kankuro's sister, stated from behind him. Her blonde hair was done up in two wild ponytails that looked rather silly now that Naruto thought about it. You all looked silly back then. Every single one of you. Especially Rock Lee. Kurama chimed. Lee hasn't changed, Naruto thought back. And neither have most of you. I will, Kankuro responded to his sister. The look on his face implied that he would do no such thing. But not before I teach him a little lesson first. Kankuro then turned his attention back to Konohamaru. The boy whimpered, and Kankuro felt a perverse pleasure in his fear. Raising a fist, the man attempted to hit the boy, when something small and hard hit the back of his hand. Wincing at the pain, the sand ninja turned his head to where he presumed the projectile came, only for another to hit him on the nose. Ouch. What the foo, another projectile hit him, this time on the teeth. Aptly silenced now, all Kankuro could do was groan when another object hit his other hand. The pain made him release his captive, who quickly ran to hide behind Naruto. Brother Naruto, Konohamaru whimpered. Naruto placed a hand on the boy's head. It's fine, Konohamaru. The scary clown won't hurt you anymore. Who are you calling a clown? Kankuro muttered around the pain. If I were you, I'd keep my mouth shut before. Kankuro screamed. The projectiles returned, this time hitting him in the eyes. Who the hell keeps throwing those? You're early. Sasuke. Naruto's attention was turned upwards toward a tree that was slightly behind the Sand siblings. In its branches sat the lone Uchiha, a smile on his face as he juggled rocks in his right hand. I didn't have a choice whether or not I was here. I might as well have fun. Stating this, Sasuke tossed another rock at Kankuro. It hit him in the back of his head, and a follow-up one to his knee made him collapse. I thought he'd start to dodge these. Is it just me or is everyone moving impossibly slow? No, it's not, Naruto responded. Don't forget that you're used to fighting people who move at near light speed. These are just children. Temari looked the blonde boy up and down. He was short, and looked even younger than herself. Who are you to call other people children? The blonde sand ninja asked. Naruto quirked an eye at her. Who are you to let your brother keep getting hit by rocks? As he asked her. Another rock hit Kankuro, this time on the cheek. The boy was cursing profusely. I'm his sister. Yes, I like seeing him get hurt. Is that so? Should I also take the same approach? A voice, low, monotone and dead, somehow filled the area. Obscene amounts of killing intent bathed the area, and everyone, including Sakura who had just arrived, were forced to their knees. Everyone except Naruto and Sakura, of course. They had barely registered the threat. Temari felt as if she had been paralyzed. Her entire body went stiff as her spine went ramrod straight. Gaara, I didn't know you were around here. No one ever does. Gaara mumbled. He was using chakra to stand upside down on the branch Sasuke was sitting on. Okay, we were just looking up there at the Uchiha boy. I know he wasn't up there. Kyuubi barked. Maybe he really is that good. Naruto responded. Bullshit. Did you see him? I had a general feeling of where he was. I can sense Shukaku. There's no way he could have been hiding from me. Maybe you weren't trying bite me. Later, Naruto responded, before turning his attention outward. Sasuke was just staring bewildered at the boy beneath him, his facial expression showing that he too was surprised by the boy's entrance. Okay, I know you weren't there a couple seconds ago. Gaara looked up at the raven-haired boy who had addressed him. He looked slightly less disinterested when he did so. You have the same eyes as me. Not this again, Sasuke growled. He threw another rock at Kankuro. Interestingly enough, neither Sand sibling moved to defend the boy, even though Sasuke knew full well that Gaara could have. If you want someone with the same eyes, look at that ball of sunshine over there. Sasuke pointed to Naruto, whose eyes literally shone upon being indicated. Gaara tried to look at him. He really did, but gave up the endeavor shortly after beginning. He is nothing like me, Gaara mumbled. Trust me, Sasuke responded. He is more like you than you could ever possibly imagine. I think I have empathized with literally everyone I have ever met. It has been interesting, Naruto stated. Whatever, Gaara said. He then disappeared in a burst of sand, shortly reappearing on the ground in front of his siblings. Temari stiffened even more upon his arrival, and outright froze when he turned to them. Come, we are leaving. Stay behind and I will kill you. Gaara said such words with the air of someone talking about the weather, brushing past his sister as if she were no more than a hindrance. The one-tailed Jinchuriki set a slow pace away from the sight. Temari rushed to keep up, but turned a sympathetic eye to her other brother, who was still on the ground. Kankuro, come on, Temari urged. Her voice was in a slight whisper. Oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe I'd be in a better position to follow if someone didn't keep throwing rocks at me. I thought you'd start dodging by now, Sasuke stated from the tree. He threw another rock, this one hitting the boy in the back. Damn it, stop that. Why? It's fun, Temari, Kankuro shouted. Yes, help. Oh, right. Temari then pulled her fan over her shoulder, opening it to its first moon. The Sand sister attempted to shield her brother with it. Little did she know that Sasuke was a master of rock throwing. The next rock the Uchiha threw arced in an impossible crescent around the fan and hit the boy in his other eye. Temari, Kankuro screamed. What? It isn't working. I can see that, Temari shouted back. She then turned back to the boy in the tree. Don't you have anything else better to do? What you're doing can literally end up killing us. Sasuke shrugged. Less competition in the exams. Around here the killing intent, which had vanished with Gaara's departure, had returned with the redhead's arrival. Didn't I say to keep up? The redhead mumbled. Sand started to pour out of the kid's gourd, which was on the boy's back. Kankuro, who was appropriately annoyed at the whole situation, had decided to stop caring whether or not he died. Can you not see the situation I'm in? He is just throwing rocks at you. Dodge. Easy for you to say. You don't have to dodge. I have never needed to. Gaara responded. Then don't get on me for not being able to dodge all these rocks he's throwing. He's throwing them really fast. Another rock hit Kankuro, this time in his neck. Where are you getting all of these rocks? Kankuro cried. You know, Sasuke started. I really don't know. I didn't count the rocks as I picked them up, but I know I didn't pick up this many. Oh joy, Kankuro stated. His voice dripped in sarcasm. He turned to his brother, pleading with his eyes. Can you help me please, Gaara? You're my brother. And Gaara tilted his head. I know you don't understand relationships, so I'll spell it out for you. Family helps each other out, so help me. Gaara turned his head to Temari, but this one said that one should like it when their brother was in pain. Temari felt a bit of pride through the soul-crushing fear she had for her sociopathic little brother. That's because she's insane. So am I, Gaara responded. Kankuro rolled his eyes. You're not insane. You're misguided. Please help me. Another rock hit Kankuro. It was in his ankle this time, as he was trying once again to stand up. This was an especially annoying place to hit. Gaara quirked a, for some reason, black eyebrow. I am misguided. Yes, very. Mother says I am not. Our mother died. Gaara, that you think she's talking to you is exactly what makes you misguided. Mother says I should kill you. Did you not hear what I just said? I'm signing off from this conversation, Naruto said. In a whirl of leaves both he and Konohamaru vanished. Me too, Sasuke said. In a shimmer of light, he too vanished. Wait, what? Sakura asked. She had been forgotten by the side during the conversation. Since when have you two known how to teleport? Realization then dawned on her. And wait, that was Sasuke. The pink-haired girl then turned to go chase after where she thought the two had disappeared to, only to be grabbed by the scruff of her neck by a hand of sand. Worry not, small child. I will not kill you if you answer my questions. Do you think I am misguided for thinking my dead mother is talking to me? Sakura stared at Gaara and his words, unsure of what to say to the psychopath. She let out a short whimper. Why me? She asked herself. Somewhere in the back of her head she realized this was the second time she was stuck in a conversation with a psychopathic murderer. Damn it, Sasuke yelled as he was battered into the ground for the third time in 1 minute. Looking on as a bystander, Naruto could barely repress his giggles. You should know better than to fight bushy brows in hand-to-hand combat, Naruto said. His smile couldn't have possibly been any wider. He's younger than me. This shouldn't be happening, Sasuke yelled back. A short distance away, Rock Lee, a steadfast young man with the most ridiculous eyebrows you could ever see, landed with nary a sound, an inward-facing palm held out in front, and a closed fist bent behind his back. The teen looked ready to continue his spar if need be. Naruto tilted his head. Well, technically, it should be. This is what happened last time. Sasuke, who was picking himself up off the ground, looked at his best friend in utter disbelief. The gods can force this too, they made me fail a test, Naruto stated simply. That isn't a good example, Kyuubi said from inside the seal. We don't know that you couldn't have failed that test all by yourself. Wasn't I supposed to bite you? Naruto asked. Kyuubi snickered. Sasuke wasn't feeling so jolly. This is stupid. I have the Mangekyou Sharingan. How is he outpacing me? Couldn't bushy brows do that in the future? Too, Naruto asked. Sasuke blanched. Well, yes, but this isn't the future, and this isn't future Lee. Future Lee sweat blood and tears for many years in order to get the kind of speed and power he did. This Lee is only starting to get that kind of dedication. Naruto nodded. I see your point. Besides, even future Lee couldn't completely outrun my eyes. That this younger version can is ridiculous. Anything is possible with godlike intervention. Well, screw that and screw you, Sasuke screamed. Turning over, the Uchiha stared down his green spandex wearing opponent and did what an Uchiha usually did when they caught sight of someone. Be a total and complete dick. All at once Lee's leotard caught on black, unholy fire. The flames flared and grew, until Lee was covered in them like an armor. Haha. Take that, gods. What do you have to say about that? Sasuke asked, yelling his question as a challenge to the powers that be. Apparently they took it, because Lee stood where he was, completely nonplussed. Your flames are nothing compared to the white-hot intensity of my fires of youth, and just like that, with sheer willpower alone, Lee shunted the flames away. But, wait, what? Sasuke babbled. His mind was on complete shutdown. Did bushy brows just shrug off Amaterasu? Naruto asked, clearly as surprised as his onyx-haired counterpart. It appears so, Kyuubi responded. About time your constant pissing in the wind came back around. Are you quite done, Mr. Uchiha? You will need more than pretty flames if you want to challenge me. Lee then pumped his chest with his fist. It also helps that my youthful attire is completely resistant to all matters of fire. That's impossible. That's hacks. The gods can't give you that, Lee chuckled. As much as I would like to say it was a gift from the gods, my outfit was formatted and developed by none other than Gai-sensei himself. Forged from his sweat and other bodily secretions, which I hope was his blood and tears. This suit cannot be marred by any source of the elements. That makes too much sense, Naruto said, nodding from the sidelines. I cannot remember either Lee or Guy ever having so much as a loose string on their leotards. Why hadn't I noticed until now? Because you, like everyone else, tried your hardest to focus on anything but the leotards. I try to focus on the leg weights, Naruto said. They are a fascinating color of orange. I pay attention to the eyebrows. In all my years I have never seen anything so unnatural. We've seen people who are literally immortal. I can make more sense of that. Back with Sasuke. The man boy was having a tough time hitting the actual boy. Throwing everything short of the Susanoo. Sasuke found that absolutely nothing hit. Why won't you go down? Sasuke asked while in the middle of a great fireball technique. The bushy-browed boy just laughed, before dodging the fireball as if it were a simple rock, and not a gigantic, room-encompassing mini-sun. Nothing can douse my fires of youth. Bullshit, Sasuke screamed, and once again doubled his efforts. I don't think Sasuke is taking this whole "you can't change anything" deal too well. The Kyuubi sounded much less concerned about things than he should have been. Really? What gave it away? Naruto asked. The fact that he is still, after several retries, trying to beat Rock Lee even though we told him that he was supposed to lose. Naruto stared off into open space. As Kyuubi was in his seal, the fox had no reason to believe that his host was meaning to stare at him. Somehow, in some way though, he did. What I don't think you catch on to when I'm being sarcastic. Oh, Kyuubi said, before donning a smile. Again, there was no way that Naruto should be able to tell this, but he did. I get your sarcasm just fine. I just don't respond to it. You're a prick, Kurama. At least I'm not your teammate. It was around here that Sasuke found his face firmly planted in the ground once more. Using wobbly arms, the father and beloved husband gingerly pushed himself upright from his beating by the 14-year-old boy. This isn't over, Sasuke said through gritted teeth. Lee found that he didn't agree. I'm afraid that it is, Mr. Uchiha. I have proven that my hard work and flames of youth can overcome your genius and bloodline limit, and I am overjoyed. No, Sasuke screamed. We're not ending this. Here truly, Lee continued. I have proven not only the superiority of Gai-sensei's teachings above Kakashi-sensei's. To be fair, his teacher's teachings amounted to here's the thing. Do it. And proven once and for all that green spandex trumps the Sharingan. Sasuke could feel the vein on his forehead come close to bursting. This, not, done yet, and finally, Lee started. Kyuubi perked up from where he was lounging in Naruto. Naruto, Kyuubi stated. What? Naruto asked. He was interested by the goings-on of the scene before him, namely Sasuke getting beaten. In the future the only person who could do that was him. I need you to listen to me for once in, ever. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Now this is a curious request. What brought this on? I can feel something coming. I don't like it. We need to get out of here. Please. Naruto scoffed at the idea. What could possibly happen that could threaten us? I don't know, but I don't want to find out. Finally, I get to prove to Sakura-chan. Lee continued. Oh. Naruto responded. That might be bad. The vein on Sasuke's head grew larger, despite the fact it should have burst long ago. To Naruto, who could sense chakra and intent, Sasuke was a roiling mass of unstable chakra and emotions. This of course was nothing new. What was wrong with the situation was that the emotions involved this time were mostly anger. Belongs. Brat. Kurama growled. Take the girl and go. Oh right, and just like that Naruto grabbed Sakura and disappeared. A shimmer and a few fallen leaves were all that remained to mark their departure. To me, Lee finished. XXX. Naruto laughed hysterically on the floor of the time-voided past, tears streaming down his whiskered cheeks. The ex-Hokage could barely breathe. For the first time, ever. It isn't my fault that time broke, the blonde yelled. Sasuke had the decency to appear embarrassed. At least, as embarrassed as an Uchiha could appear. In truth, Sasuke still looked prideful, but at least less so than normal. It isn't my fault, it's entirely your fault, Neji said. He stood across from them in the town square. Since this was where Naruto fled to when Sasuke more or less exploded, this was where their meeting was to be held apparently. You turned into a perfect Susanoo and chased Lee for 3 hours. I would say this is pretty much entirely your fault. I'm just surprised that the powers that be allowed that rampage to last for so long, Kyuubi said. He was sitting in a chair he had stolen from a nearby shop. It'd be returned later. Naruto had a witty follow-up to that, but he was currently indisposed. Every time his laughter would calm down to a low giggle, he would, upon remembering what happened, immediately break into laughter again. It had taken about half an hour for the world to reset so far, and the entire time Naruto had been laughing in this not-breaking cycle. Sasuke was not amused. You could stop now, you know. Naruto's answer was even more raucous laughter. Kyuubi had to answer for him. He means that he can't. He actually, physically, can't. Neji raised an eyebrow. You could understand that, no, but his thoughts are still available to me. He's communicating telepathically to you, no. Kyuubi answered once more. In his head he's laughing just as heard. It's just that I could deduce from both looking at him and hearing his thoughts that he can't hold back his laughter. Neji turned to Sasuke. This is the man you chose to lead the village. Sasuke shrugged. I didn't choose anything. If it were up to me, I'd sooner put Kiba of all people in charge, just so the idiot wouldn't get a big ego. No, it was Kakashi who nominated Naruto, and at that point there was really no other choice. What do you mean? Neji asked. Imagine it this way. Kyuubi started. He had reverted to fox form and had stretched out over the recliner he had stolen. The class clown over there was the strongest shinobi in existence when Kakashi was chosen for the 6th Hokage. How do you think he felt when that decision was made? Neji shrugged. Probably not very happy. Correct. Sasuke grunted. He did an exaggerated thumbs up. Said display prompted an equally enthusiastic display of a finger back at him from the Hyuga. Quite. Kyuubi continued. He was less than ecstatic, but he accepted the situation regardless. That being said, he was still quite vocal about his displeasure. Even well after he became a father and gotten married, he would still regularly pout about this. Neji looked at the blonde child rolling on the ground. Such a thing should not be allowed to govern children. So when he heard that Kakashi was finally stepping down, Naruto put in his name for first candidate almost as soon as the question was posed. Do you want to know what happened to everyone else who stepped up? Neji felt that was an answer he didn't need. Nothing. Because no one else stepped up. The instant anyone did, Naruto would drown the area in chakra and pure, unbridled malevolent intent. It was enough to give me the chills, and I'm made of nothing but those two things. Neji looked back at the blonde child that was still rolling on the ground. Such a thing should not be allowed to govern children. Kakashi had, at that point, come to a very reasonable conclusion. Sasuke had decided to pick up the lull in explanation. Even if Naruto was the worst Hokage that would ever grace the 5 great nations, there would never be a single person to stand up to him and survive. No one would ever oppose him. The leaf would fall or flourish because of Naruto, and Naruto alone, and there was absolutely no one who could change that fact. Naruto won the Hokage hat by a landslide. Naruto would go on to govern the village through the use of overwhelmingly excessive shadow clones. It made life much more convenient, but also provided a horrifying truth. And what would that be? Neji asked, slightly horrified. That Naruto, if he so chose, could actually be the village hidden in the leaves. His clones, after a year, had opted to perform the roles of anyone who would otherwise be unable to. He became the police, carpenters, painters and even talk show hosts when the needs arose. There came a day when everyone realized that this man, who had during the war shared his chakra with every other available ninja, had actually filled in a role for every single profession imaginable. We all learned something that day. Neji and what was that? Neji asked, now genuinely horrified. That this is Naruto's world. Kyuubi answered, and we all live in it. All three entities turned to the childlike force of nature and quietly let it revel in its juvenile merriment. Every moment that it deluded itself into mediocrity was another moment that the world could rest in peace. Why the sage was he allowed to come up with the talk no jutsu xxx? I don't want to be here. Sasuke grumbled. He followed Naruto as he led the group through the hall to the examination room. They had already passed the fake examination room a floor below, and escaped the ordeal without incident. They were supposed to tip off the group about the Jinjutsu, but decided against it. The gods would decide how to get them to their proper place. Naruto smiled as his best friend pouted. Neither do I, but we don't really have a choice. We could blow up the town again, Kyuubi suggested. Sasuke perked up at those words. Since he was an Uchiha, this wasn't readily noticeable. I like that idea. Let's do that. Sasuke agreed. Naruto shook his head. Been there, done that. We don't need to do it again. Sasuke gritted his teeth. I wasn't there, idiot. And whose fault is that? Naruto asked. Yours. Oh right. And just like that the two devolved into a shouting match. Their screams reverberated around the testing area until they made their way downstairs to the fake examination room. The children and not so children there looked around, before noticing everything that was off. Hey, this is only the second floor, an observant genin shouted. All genin proceeded to march up the stairs. Back with the group, Sakura started massaging her forehead. Must you two fight at every available moment? There was a garbled response from both boys that wasn't entirely understandable. This made sense, as Naruto currently was biting Sasuke on the head and Sasuke had his mouth full of Naruto's fist. Sakura sighed. I'm never going to be able to control you two, am I? She asked. Her answer was met with a hum. No, it doesn't appear so, a lazy voice drawled. Sakura jumped when her teacher suddenly appeared behind her. After getting over her shock, she glared at the jonin. Yo, Kakashi chanted, head half buried in a book. He waved lazily, not really caring that only one of his students was paying any attention to him. Kakashi-sensei, what are you doing here? Sakura asked in lieu of her more occupied teammates. If Kakashi was concerned that the two stronger members of his squad, besides him of course, were currently rolling around on the ground, he didn't show it. I thought I'd stop by to give you all a little bit of encouragement. But, the scarecrow stared at the two boys. He could feel the chakra building between them. I think you guys are lively enough. Sakura sighed, though this time was much more heavy. Lively is an understatement. The pink-haired girl then leaned forward, dropping her voice down to a whisper. Do I have to do this now, sensei? I don't think we're ready. Kakashi eyed his two other students. Fire and wind-natured chakra started to saturate the air in the hallway. He looked back to his last student. I think you're fine, sensei. They are going to kill each other. Kakashi waved her off. They'll be fine. Meanwhile, behind them, the air became noticeably both thicker and hotter. Sensei, Sakura pleaded. Save me. Her response was the whistling of air that signaled her sensei's departure. She hadn't even seen him move. Why me? She whimpered as the explosion that heralded her teammates' bouts of fighting engulfed her. XXX I hate you. Naruto mumbled. He was currently staring down Kabuto Yakashi, a leaf genin that was overall unimpressive. His silver hair reminded the young blonde of his teacher, but his charming, disarming smile and unassuming glasses made him entirely too expressive to be Kakashi. What was that? Naruto-kun, Kabuto asked, his voice gentle and inviting. He says that he hates you, Sasuke responded. His voice was toneless. Well, yes, I gathered that much, Kabuto responded. But why? Because you're a prick, Naruto said. He had folded his arms. That, and your glasses suck. Well, that's mean, Kabuto said with a frown. He looked genuinely hurt by the statement. It's also true, Sasuke picked up. And I know you're faking that frown. You don't feel any emotion besides lust. And even then it's only for Orochimaru. Kabuto turned a sharp eye to Sasuke. And how exactly would you know that Sasuke stammered. Guessed well. That's a very dangerous guess, Kabuto responded, his silver eyebrows slightly furrowed. And also untrue. I have about as much love for the snake traitor as you do. Tell me about it, Naruto mumbled. He was promptly elbowed by his raven-haired teammate. My idiot teammate aside, I don't think you should be giving out free information on potential test M takers right in front of them. That's an easy way to get yourself killed. What? Kabuto asked. No way. I've done this for 7 years and no one's ever had a problem with it before. Absently, Kabuto bent over to pick up an errand card that had fallen out of his pack. In doing so he accidentally dodged a shuriken, which proceeded to fly into the chalkboard at the front of the room. Neither Naruto nor Sasuke could tell whether the traitor did that on purpose. Anyway, Kabuto said as he stood back up, I'm willing to share any information on anyone you would like. Any names in particular? Mulling it over, Naruto decided to finally give in. Fine. Tell me about Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke was a little less than enthused about this. Your own teammate? Kabuto asked, eyebrow raised. I would think you would know everything about him. Yeah, Naruto. He has a point. Sasuke supplied. His tone clipped. Nah. Looking around this room, I can tell that he's the biggest threat to me here. Let's see what you know. On a side note, not many other listening teams took kindly to Naruto insulting them. Well, if you say so. Kabuto ruffled through his ninja info cards to pull out one in specific. Upon finding it, the man channeled some chakra into it, revealing a picture of the child and some information under it. Here we go. Sasuke Uchiha, 12 years of age. Some D-rank missions and, what's this? An A-rank mission under your belt? Impressive. Sasuke preened under the praise, even though it was severely lacking to his actual accomplishments. It also says here that you are an exceedingly accomplished genin. Your biggest accomplishment being surviving an encounter with the rogue mist ninjas Abusamomochi. Well, I don't mean to brag. While being a vegetable. Wait, what? No. Sasuke's facade was shattered immediately. No. It definitely says here that you were a vegetable. Care to explain? I wasn't a vegetable. Sasuke grumbled. Naruto placed a hand on his shoulder. You definitely were. It's okay. Embrace it. Sasuke brushed the blonde's hand off. I don't have to embrace anything, then you'll never get better. I would have never been worse if it weren't for you. Sasuke-kun. If you don't want to get better, then I'll just take care of you again. Sakura said. Both of her male teammates paled. I was a vegetable. Sasuke said. His voice was lifeless. Ah, that's good. I was afraid my cards were inaccurate. Anyone else? Kabuto looked around the room. Yes. I want information on Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto glared at Kiba. What? The dog boy asked. I've heard you've gotten stronger recently. It'll be good to know how strong. Kabuto clicked his teeth. Well, if you must. He then searched through his deck. Following the same procedure as he did Sasuke, Kabuto read off Naruto's card. Same mission history as the Uchiha. No surprise there as they are on the same team. It also says here that your chakra levels are through the roof. Naruto smirked. You know what they say about men with big chakra levels. It also says here you're responsible for an S-ranked disaster. Sasuke glared at his teammate. What the hell did you do now? Naruto shrugged. XXX elsewhere. A multicolored Kyune pierced the heart of Aoi, shattering his Raijin no Ken in the process. As the missing nin fell to the ground, he could only gape at the sheer destruction that was left in the knife's wake. XXX I bet your very birth was an S-ranked disaster. Sasuke teased. Naruto stuck his tongue out in response. Apparently, that's not your worst feature though. Did you create a forbidden jutsu? Wait, what? Naruto asked. It was a question mirrored by almost everyone else in the room. Yes, Kabuto exclaimed, holding up the card as if it were some holy creation. It was you. You created the famed jutsu that Master Orochimaru has been trying to recreate. What was that? Now Sasuke asked. Nothing. Kabuto covered up. His excitement wasn't abated in the slightest by his slip-up. The famed jutsu that shakes the elemental nations to its core. Done with no hand seals and unavoidable or reversible. Labeled an SS-class Jinjutsu of the highest caliber. The Talk no Jutsu. You're the one who created it. Naruto chuckled awkwardly. Maybe every other available ninja moved away from him. Sasuke, however, moved closer. He had a hypothesis that, if already the subject to it once, one could not be affected by the technique again. He hoped it was true. Leaning in, the last loyal Uchiha whispered in his best friend's ear. How do they know about this already? Gramps said that he'd tell the gods about it. I'm guessing he actually went through with it. With the recent disaster around you, Uchiha, I'm not surprised. The Kyuubi managed to sound sleepy. So they banned it here? Naruto asked. He then shrugged his shoulder. Still gonna use it. What? Kabuto stammered. But, the Talk no Jutsu is banned in all 5 nations. Naruto shrugged again. And who exactly is going to stop me from using it? You'll be hunted down. I'll use it on the hunter ninjas. The cages will come after you. Kabuto screamed. I'll use it on them too. But. Kabuto was at a loss for words. Yes? Naruto asked, an eyebrow raised. I don't know. I thought so. Naruto nodded, a self-satisfied smirk on his face. Now why don't you go sit down over there as you contemplate the futility of your almost meaningless existence? Kabuto nodded blankly, before slinking off into a corner. Looking at the man walk feebly away, Sasuke prepared himself to do something he'd never thought he'd ever have to do. Comfort Kabuto. There. Sasuke cooed, rubbing his hand on the traitor's back. It's okay. The first time I realized it was all pointless. I was pretty depressed too. I was also missing an arm. Kabuto took a glance at the 12-year-old's arms. They were both intact. He made a mental note to write down insanity on the side effects of receiving the Talk no Jutsu. He then looked at the blonde boy run over to the Suna Jinchuriki and pat him on the back. Hard. He made a mental note to write down insanity on the side effects of administering the talk no jutsu. XXXH here. En Naruto-kun. Why you can see copy off my paper. A timid, almost fully withdrawn lavender-haired girl whispered. Her lightly tinted violet eyes could barely look in his direction, for it was the written part of the Chunin exams, and she was sitting next her crush, Naruto Uzumaki. Little did she know that she would be the future wife and mother of his children, but she couldn't be faulted for that. She didn't come from the future. Naruto did in fact come from the future. He still had the same difficulty looking Hinata in the eyes. It's okay, Hinata. I don't need. Naruto started. He was feeling incredibly guilty, and thus, incredibly nervous while talking to his future wife. She had harbored feelings for him since they were barely older than toddlers, which means she definitely liked him now. Naruto had experience dealing with girls with crushes on him. After he became the hero of the Fourth Shinobi World War, he had many adoring fans. He didn't, however, have any experience dealing with girls he liked back, which led him to his current situation. Also, a one-chance test was going on right now and cheating was prohibited. He was being encouraged to cheat, yes, but he couldn't be caught doing it. Looking over and blatantly copying would be the most obvious way of doing so. Hinata didn't like his refusal very much. But if you don't copy then you'll fail. Naruto shook his head. What? No, I'll be fine, Hinata. It's just Naruto-kun. If you don't pass this test, you can't become Chunin. Well, yes, Hinata, but still, I don't need to. If why you don't make Chunin, you can't become Jonin. And if you, Hinata. Calm down, Naruto whispered as harshly as he dared. It didn't seem like any of the proctors noticed he was talking, but that was liable to change. I'll be fee you won't become Hokage. Naruto-kun, that exclamation brought alarm. Several eyes darted in their direction, but both test takers had assumed a less suspicious posture. No one said anything, so after a while the two relaxed. Naruto spoke up first. It's fine, Hinata. Thank you for your concern, but I'll be fine. Hinata spied her crush's paper. There was absolutely nothing on it save an unsavory picture of Ibiki, their test proctor. She stared back at Naruto, disbelief evident in her eyes. I promise. Naruto resisted the urge to scratch the back of his neck. The deadpan look Hinata sent him no doubt showed her reluctance to go along with it. XXX Marino Ibiki was a hulking monstrosity of a man. Angular in all that he was, the man was a moving mountain of muscle clad in nothing but black clothes, half of which was leather. He was a dangerous, intimidating ninja who very few had the honor of meeting. Even fewer actually wanted to do such a thing. Such a man was the proctor of the Chunin exams. Looking over the cute little future killers with a scowl, he prepared to administer the 10th question. This question would determine whether or not any of them would continue on in the exams. The behemoth smiled on the inside, but nevertheless remained stoic on the outside. Opening his mouth, he asked, well, the 10th question is hurry the hell up, Naruto yelled, irritation marring his face. Wait, what? Yeah, we don't have all day. Ibiki, the contestant Ibiki recognized as the last Uchiha, followed up. He felt a vein in his forehead start to twitch. I would have started already if you two hadn't started. Then start already, Naruto yelled, even though he was at the front of the class and thus had no reason to. The Uchiha nodded. We've been here far too long already. Just let us go already. I'm trying to, but screw it. I'm walking out myself, Naruto said before getting up. Sasuke quickly followed suit and, seeing her teammates walking out, Sakura had to follow as well. Noticing his chance escaping, Ibiki had to speak quickly. He couldn't fail them. They hadn't refused the question, no matter how rude they were being. You all pass, Naruto and Sasuke smiled. XXX I forgot how skinny Anko was, Naruto whispered to his best friend. Sasuke nodded. I forgot she used to only wear a trench coat. I forgot that she existed. Kyuubi drawled as he lay spread eagle outside the forest of death. Every so often someone tripped on his tail. People have value that goes beyond being food. Kyuubi, Naruto whispered. His response was a nonchalant shrug from the fox and a kune to the cheek from Anko. Said snake lady appeared behind Naruto, catching the kune in the process. Slowly, and with a tongue far longer than it should have been, Anko licked the blood off the kune before whispering in the young blonde's ear. You should really pay attention when someone is talking, kiddo. Naruto smiled, an act that caused both Sasuke and Kyuubi to clear out. So should you, Naruto whispered back and, before Anko could react, exploded. Anko and Sakura, who was still in the vicinity of the blast, were sent careening away. After a while the smoke from the exploding clone settled down, revealing a laughing Naruto in the center of its crater. I've always wanted to do that, Naruto cackled, but it would have been immature for the Hokage to take revenge on one of his own soldiers. Anko groaned from her new trench in the ground. No, Sasuke stated simply, sitting down cross-legged outside the gates that led to the forest of death. The forest, aptly named, was really a training ground that the ninja of Konoha used occasionally. Except not really. It was exceedingly dangerous, bordering on suicidal to enter with its deadly creatures and somehow even deadlier plant life. Its trees, while normally a staple of the Fire Nation, were unusually high. If you slipped while traversing them, you were basically dead to fall damage. None of these reasons were why Sasuke refused to enter the forest though. Stop being a coward, Naruto yelled. He pulled on the Uchiha's wrist as he tried to force him into the forest. Get your evil hiki and be done with it. No, Sasuke restated. He said it as if it was an answer as obvious as the weather. I'm not going through that again. If the trend thus far holds, nothing can be changed about this world. I'm not getting the cursed seal again. Do you know what that's like? At Naruto's dumbfounded expression, Sasuke continued. Imagine a pedophile who just loves to stretch his S continually whispering into your ear. That's what it's like. I'm not doing it. Naruto pouted. But it's only gonna be for a little bit. Sasuke's face paled. You call 3 years a little bit compared to the rest of our lives? Yes, Sasuke's eye twitched. That's easy for you to say. You spent those 3 years running around with a good sensei perving on girls. I had to protect my chastity every night. Kyuubi opened an eyelid. He was dozing off while leaning against the gate surrounding the Forest of Death. I thought you said that Orochimaru didn't try to mess with you. You stay out of this, Sasuke snapped. Good, Naruto asked. Jiraiya, I loved him, but he was a terrible sensei. Half the time he was off peeping on women. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Oh, how terrible. I don't need your sarcasm right now, and I don't need your bullshit. Neither of us are happy. I'm kind of happy, Kurama said from the sidelines. The glare he earned was legendary. You stay out of this, Naruto growled. Kurama threw his hands up in resignation. Whatever. You guys can go make out in peace. I'm going to go burn the forest down. A burst of crimson chakra later, and the fox was gone. Not 5 seconds later did the forest start to go up in smoke. Of course neither boy cared much, still enthralled in their argument. You can't honestly be telling me that Jiraiya peeping on girls was any worse than Orochimaru trying to see how much of his snake he could make you handle. Naruto paled. He was talking about his summons, right? Sasuke shuddered. I sure hope he was. Well, regardless, at least he was actually training you through all of that. I came back from my 3-year training with a bigger Rasengan. Sasuke quirked his eyebrow. He did all of that for you? I'm surprised you had enough control to get out of bed in the morning. Truly, Jiraiya was a genius among men, and apparently Orochimaru was too. He was able to see something attractive about a sculpture like you. Sasuke smirked. You're just jealous of my Uchiha genes. Naruto smirked himself. The same genes that gave you those girly eyelashes. They're not girly, Sasuke screamed immediately. Apparently a nerve had been struck. Oh, no. Of course not, Naruto said soothingly, his wicked smirk still in place. But quick question, which tools do you use to get them so curly? Naruto then had to dodge a kune wreathed in black flames. Yeah, this is going about as well as I thought having you in the past would be. They're not girly, Sasuke screamed once more, another pure black kune in hand. You know, with all of your training with Orochimaru, I'm not surprised most of your attacks are either flaming or positively electric. Once again Naruto had to dodge more attacks, with Chidori-powered Senbon joining the artillery list, not minding the deadly onslaught in the slightest. The future Hokage simply laughed as he fled his way into the Forest of Death, his male teammate in hot pursuit. Well, you've convinced me, Sasuke. I don't think Jiraiya is so bad anymore, Naruto called over his shoulder. I will murder you one day. Naruto just laughed even harder. Meanwhile, back at the entrance, Sakura could only gape at the wanton destruction and hostility. She hadn't paid the two boys' interaction any heed before because, come on, they were always arguing. And then the weapons started flying. And were they on fire? Black fire? Again. Sakura could only gape as the two raced off into the forest, effectively leaving her behind. Why am I surrounded by maniacs? She asked herself before running off after them. XXX. Naruto dumped the body of a Chunin hopeful at his feet. Sasuke and Sakura looked at the boy with alarm. What's that? Sakura asked. Naruto shrugged. Some guy trying to impersonate me, I guess. He tried to blindside me while I was peeing. How's the search for the other scroll? Not well, Sasuke answered. His eyes, Sharingan active, were scanning the forest. Nothing came up. All I see are the teammates of the guy you just beat up, and I'm pretty sure they don't have the scroll we need. They don't. Naruto then dropped the scroll he found on the body of the ninja who ambushed him. Though this may be a fake, my clones are going to search the other two. Sasuke winced when he saw how exactly the other two were being handled with his Sharingan. Apparently the fox had joined the clones in torturing the poor ninja. Did you have to send Kurama? I didn't send Kurama. Oh, Sasuke said. Then that's just his own personal touch. Wait, who's Kurama? Sakura asked. She noticed she was starting to be left out of the conversation a lot recently. You don't wanna know, the two boys answered simultaneously. And why not? Sakura couldn't fathom why she wouldn't want to know about this mysterious fourth member of their team. Besides Kakashi, he wasn't really actually on the team anyway. Not like he helped them unless he had to. I don't think you could handle him just yet. Naruto was the one to reply. He did so around poking at the unconscious body before him. Somewhere out in the forest Sakura could hear faint screams. Or rather, lots of faint screams. she dismissed them rather easily as there had been quite a few screams. XXX elsewhere Gaara had the sense to be slightly guilty. Only slightly though. This guilt had him hesitate, and the person he was currently suspending in the air in a coffin of sand became hopeful. Are you not going to kill me after all? The poor genin asked, turning his attention back to the ninja, a child no older than he was. Gaara casually closed his extended hand, in turn making the sand contract as well. The poor boy died instantly. No, Gaara responded, before turning away to leave. Neither of his siblings had the courage to tell him that it was probably more productive to answer before killing his prey. XXX no, Sasuke said, arms folded and indignant. The snake Sanin, Orochimaru, stood before him with a bemused smile on his face. Whatever are you talking about? Sasuke said. Genin shuddered upon hearing the older man's speech tick. In later years Orochimaru would drop the S thing, but by then Sasuke had adopted a healthy policy of never being within speaking distance of the man. I'm talking about you, Sasuke said. If possible his scowl deepened. Just no, to you, your plans, and just in general, no to you, no to me. The way the snake Sanin said it was mocking and somehow sultry. Memories of unpleasant conversations were suddenly flowing back to the boy. And everything you stand for, yes, so, yes to everything I stand for, Sasuke sputtered. What? No to you, no to me's you're intentionally fucking with me. Sasuke pointed at the man conspiratorially. No, not yet, but I plan to. Orochimaru hissed. Again, his words were both sultry and threatening. Sasuke paled. Somehow he felt that the Sanin took his words differently from the way he meant them. I'm not going anywhere near you. Somehow I don't think you have the choice. That doesn't even have an S, Sasuke screamed, before dodging a barrage of weaponry. Jumping backward, Sasuke activated his base level Sharingan before engaging the older man in a fight. Sakura, of course, could only stand and stare. That's Orochimaru, she asked. Sasuke, even though he was in the middle of a fight, had the utter wherewithal to sneer. I think that's been established. Sasuke then dodged an open palm strike. Unfortunately that open palm turned into a snake attack. No, I know, but, I mean, spit it out, Sakura, Sasuke yelled, before trying to strike out at Orochimaru. The man dodged it by bending in an impossible way, before smiling. Only quitters spit, he said, earning him a glare from Sasuke. Stop that, never, I mean, Sakura said, getting annoyed at being ignored in conversations. That he doesn't really seem like the Orochimaru we've been taught about. Oh, Orochimaru started, looking genuinely amused. What did they teach you about me? Oh, I dunno. Lots of small things, but mainly they gave me the idea that you were a lot. I dunno. Movie theater evil movie. Theater evil, Orochimaru repeated. Yeah. Kinda like those stereotypical movie villains. Excuse me, Sasuke screamed around dodging a Kyune strike from his snake-like opponent. Unfortunately Orochimaru then threw the Kyune. Sasuke dodged that too, but the Kyune then turned into more snakes, narrowly escaping even those. Sasuke turned to look at his pink-haired teammate. She hadn't really moved since the fight started. Why are you conversing with the enemy instead of, I dunno, helping me? Sakura tilted her head. Do you think that I could do much? Sasuke turned over the thought in his head before concluding that, no, she couldn't. He relayed as much. Then what do you want me to do? Having a friendly conversation with him wasn't at the top of the things I could think of. Sakura shrugged. At this point I can't see any reason not to. First as abuser, now Orochimaru. I think my plan of engagement is just fine. She has a point. I haven't attacked her once since we started fighting. No one asked you, Sasuke hissed, before realizing that his hissing attracted more snakes. With a quick fire jutsu he burned those, only for more to replace them. I know how you're summoning so many, and it still annoys me. Orochimaru quirked an eyebrow. And how do you know that I'm from the future? Sasuke deadpanned. Orochimaru stopped for a second, obviously not expecting that, before continuing his attack. I'm okay with the crazy onus, he hissed. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Of course you are. XXX, you have an entire repertoire of deadly techniques, and you choose to blow up the snake the same way a second time, sitting in the remains of a giant summoned snake. Naruto just sighed as he wiped the guts out of his hair. You don't fix what isn't broken. Well, yes, but I'm pretty sure this was one of the things the gods would have let you get away with changing. Did you have to blow it up by flooding it with clones again? I thought you more creative. Oh, I am. I had dozens of ways of getting out. Then why didn't you use one of those? Kyuubi asked. Naruto looked around at the snake viscera around him. Sighing once more, he got up, before stretching. Because this way's a lot simpler. I don't remember which way I was thrown, so I would have had to make clones to find Orochimaru anyway. This way, I don't have to make more clones. Kyuubi nodded, seeing the logic behind his charge's reasoning. Then, he turned to the boy. I see your point. Very smart reasoning indeed. Done stretching, he then took off to where a clone had recently popped. Courtesy of, believe it or not, Sasuke. Kyuubi caught up with the boy easily. Yes, smart reasoning. Unfortunately, it's exactly because it's smart reasoning that I'm reluctant to believe that you thought of it. What was the real reason you used clones? Naruto deadpanned. I told you. Convenience. Oh really? Yes. Really, Naruto, who could run through trees asleep, refused to make eye contact. Boy, I have never known you to do things for convenience's sake. In fact, I'm pretty sure that doing things efficiently is actually harder for you. I have no idea what you're talking about. I've seen you open cans of soup by coming up with a way to spin a kunai using a Rasengan and applying it to the foodstuffs. Truly an engineering masterpiece on my end. Quite. Kyuubi responded. However, when introduced to a can opener by your meatbag of a wife, you almost destroyed the kitchen. Naruto, who still hadn't turned around, had the decency to at least sound indignant. Those things are confusing and stupid. It's not my fault, Naruto. You put the can under the blade and press a button. It's not that easy, Naruto. I can do it. In my fox form, where I don't have thumbs. Why the hell do you know you could do that? Because I tried it. Why? Naruto wailed. For this exact reason. To prove how utterly backwards you are. Well, congratulations, Naruto screamed. The sarcasm was almost literally dripping from his voice. You're successfully the biggest pain in my butt. Are you sure? The reason you have so much pain down there might be because you're so full of shit. Now what is the real reason you used clones on the snake? Naruto sputtered, before doubling his pace. Is that the snake's signature? We better hurry on ahead. Kyuubi rolled his eyes. I'll have you tell me eventually. You know I will. There's nothing to tell. The two then traveled in silence. Kyuubi hummed the last bit of way. After a minute, Naruto coughed, before speaking his next words in less than a whisper. And my decision on clones had nothing to do with the fact that the inside of that snake was incredibly gross, and I just used the first thought that came to my mind. Kyuubi smiled at the confession, but didn't press the issue further. XXX. Back in the clearing, Orochimaru was still standing on a tree trunk, stunned. True, he had Sasuke pinned to a tree by a rather vicious chokehold, but that was a lesser point. Staring the boy in his red eyes, Orochimaru asked, did you really just throw a knife at your own teammate Sasuke, who didn't seem too uncomfortable in his situation? Nodded. Seems about right. Why? Sasuke shrugged. I've thrown worse things at him. What if it wasn't a clone? Orochimaru asked. Then he would have been hit. Sasuke answered like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Well, yes. And are you not alarmed at all by that? He survived worse. Can you believe he lost his arm once? Survived all throughout the night until sunrise while bleeding out. Amazing boy. That man. It was around here that Naruto made his grand re-entrance into the part of forest his teammates were in. Seeing the conversation going on, he picked up from what he heard. You survived that arm lost, blood loss too. Bastard. Don't sell yourself short. Orochimaru looked between the two boys. They had fully intact arms. Took you long enough to get back, Sasuke said around shallow breaths. He could barely breathe for the situation he was in, and yet taunting Naruto still seemed to take priority. I'm sorry, a giant snake ate me. You should try it sometime. Really fun. Sasuke smirked. I have tried it. It was part of my training. It's not so bad once you get used to it. Ugh. Naruto raged. I'd rather stick with toads. Oh, and they are better immensely, Naruto said. He had taken to twirling a kunai around his finger. They don't eat meat, so you usually just hang out in their mouths and chill on their tongues. Once you get over the swampy smell, it's actually pretty comfortable. Sasuke stared. I'm sure. Orochimaru, however, wasn't so enthralled. Are they ignoring me? Sakura patted the older man on his shoulder. As she was quite a bit shorter than he was, she had to stretch to do so. Welcome to my world, the pink-haired genin said, attempting to console the man. They'll be done soon. But I'm currently choking him. Don't try to fight it. Anyway, Naruto said, finally quitting his twirl. How about we get this started? Oh, sure. And just like that, Sasuke exploded in a miasma of purple chakra. Rubbing his neck, Sasuke looked fully at home with his Susanoo finally covering him. That's better. It sure is. Orochimaru hissed, a manic expression on his face. Sasuke paled once more, suddenly uncomfortable again. Wait, what? No. You're supposed to be intimidated. For whatever reason would I be intimidated? Sasuke-kun? Rather, I'm excited. Why? Sasuke asked, his voice nearly a whisper. Because, when I'm inside you, that beautiful technique will be mine. Sasuke couldn't hide the utter horror on his face. Kami, sage and all deities above, this is what you dealt with. You build up a tolerance, Sasuke replied after his initial shock wore off. Then why are you still whiter than a sheet? Apparently the tolerance wears off. And wear off it did, because it didn't take Orochimaru a second thought before he lunged forward, his sword of Kusanagi extending from his open mouth. Diving in head first, Orochimaru attempted to impale the young shinobi on the top of his blade. The Kusanagi managed to pierce the armor, but it didn't get much farther than the tip. Sasuke was still a little too unnerved to do anything about it. Interesting, Orochimaru hissed. Even my blade, which can cut anything, can't quite make it through your chakra armor. You. No touchy, Naruto yelled while grabbing the Sanin's shoulder. stunned at how the boy had gotten to him so fast. He wasn't prepared for the surprisingly strong preteen to suddenly spin him. After several rotations, the boy finally deemed Orochimaru sufficiently dizzy, before releasing him and letting him indent into a tree. Only I can touchy, Sasuke grimaced. You know touchy, either we'll see about that. Sasuke scowled. Only Sarada touchy. And only once a year. During her birthday, you mean that stupid forehead poke you do? It's not stupid. It's symbolic of what fondness and a bond that transcends time and space. Naruto stared at his best friend. Bullshit. Sasuke stared back. Face impassive. Well, more impassive than normal. Not bullshit, not bullshit. Sasuke answered. Oh, well, does Sarada know what it's symbolic of? Of course she does. Sasuke answered as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. Did you tell her? Sasuke's sputtering was not a good sign. Well, not exactly. She doesn't know. Yes she does, Sasuke yelled back, his Susanoo disappearing from around him. Apparently it was hard to hear in the confines of a suit of chakra armor. She's my daughter. She inherited my genius. She should know what it means. Naruto wasn't particularly listening. Holy truth-seeking balls. You've been going around all this time poking your daughter in the forehead and never told her why. The poor girl must have been so confused. I bet she made up her own reason. No she didn't. She knew. Bullshit. Then why does she always look so happy whenever I do it? Huh? Sasuke asked, hysterical. Because she's probably just glad that you're talking to her at all. Sasuke was silent for a bit. That's not true. Come on. We both know she's starved for attention from her daddy. I always figured Sakura gave her enough attention. At this, Sakura perked up from the side. What now? What was that? Both boys turned to look at her in alarm, having completely forgotten she was there. I mean, Sasuke stammered, not sure how to deflect the conversation, or even how much he needed to. He wasn't sure how much she'd heard. I heard you say my name, Sakura yelled. I didn't say your name, Sasuke yelled back. You sure? I heard someone say my name. No one said your name, Naruto yelled. Okay, just asking if you said my name. No one is saying any names. Oh, but you will be screaming my name, Orochimaru hissed, before lunging behind Sasuke and putting his evil hickey on the boy's neck. Hissing at the pain, Sasuke could only grunt before the snake Sannin detached himself and quickly fled. For all of the two boys' ability, they could never quite match Orochimaru's slipperiness. Hand quickly clasping the now tender spot on his neck, Sasuke could only describe the emotion he felt as pure, unbridled rage. Damn it, Orochimaru! This screaming went on for a short while before Sasuke had the sense of mind to finally stop, waiting a bit for the boy to catch his breath. Naruto then walked over to his best friend, a wicked smile on his face. You know, technically, you did just scream his name. Sasuke immediately started screaming again. Kiba, Naruto muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. He had spoken louder earlier, but the attempts just seemed so foolish now. And after we're done punching you, we're gonna start kicking you too, the dog-like boy boasted, his hands on his hips and his canine companion, Akamaru, yipping supportively along from on top of his head. Kiba, Naruto repeated, a little louder this time. His hand rubbed at the bridge of his nose to try to stop the oncoming headache, but he could tell it was a futile effort. And when we're done punching ya, Kiba continued, seemingly unaware of his former classmates' ire, we're gonna start biting you too. Kiba please, Naruto, said his voice now louder now that he could rein his irritation no longer. When it was apparent the dog boy had no intention to listen, however, Sasuke yelled from the sidelines, just kicked his ass, Naruto, and apparently that was all that was needed. As soon as the proctor, a man by the name of Gecko, signaled the start, the two boys sprung away from each other. The one-on-one duel between Chunin hopefuls started, and it was to be the first of many that day. Okay, Kiba howled, retrieving a pill from his pocket. It's time to rock, Naruto. Are you ready, boy? Kiba asked his puppy. The little dog barked his approval, and Kiba grinned in response, tossing the pill up above his head for Akamaru to eat. Kiba growled in challenge. We're gonna destroy you, Naruto. Once Akamaru eats that soldier pill, you'll see why he's named what he's named. Naruto, his face scrunched up, just started tossing something small up and down in his right hand. A pill? You mean this one? Kiba looked up, only to catch the eyes of his still white puppy. Akamaru looked back down and, upon meeting his partner's eyes, whined in a very high pitch. Buddy, where's your pill? Kiba asked. Akamaru whined again, before staring at their opponent. Naruto just grinned. Catching the small object he was tossing between his fingers, he held it out to the two. Kiba's eyes widened. Is that your pill? Naruto asked. He looked at it almost wistfully, before crushing it into dust. Well, it was anyway. I'm sorry, Kiba, but I'm not letting you use that. Kiba stared silently at his opponent for a bit, before reaching into his pack and retrieving another pill. Carefully this time, Kiba threw his pill up to his dog companion, watching as it sailed through the air. Akamaru, jaws agape, tried once more to snatch it out the air, only for it to vanish once again. Deadpan. The dog boy stared at his old classmate, sure that he had the pill again. Sure enough, Naruto had it between his fingers. Why are you doing this, he asked. Naruto chuckled, before crushing the pill. It's funny, you can't do that forever. Kiba growled, pulling out yet another pill. Before he even tossed it, Naruto had it in his hand. We'll see. Dog breath, Naruto said, before crushing the pill once more. Now both Kiba and Akamaru were growling and, seeing what the challenge was now, pulled out his entire bag of pills. Apparently he was prepared for this outcome. Bring it on. Ramen boy. XXX up in the balcony. The other Chunin hopefuls couldn't believe what they were seeing. Are they really doing this? Choji asked around a mouthful of chips. Sakura nodded, a solemn look on her face. You get used to it. You should see him when he's serious. Shikamaru glanced at the girl, an impressive feat seeing as a full-scale invasion probably couldn't rouse the boy from his sleep. I'm pretty sure that Naruto is moving fast enough down there to snatch the pill from midair and get back to where he was standing before anyone can notice. Sure enough, Naruto was doing just that. Kiba's bag of pills was just getting smaller, but the dog boy was not giving up. He had resorted to tossing multiple pills at once, but that wasn't helping. Why Naruto didn't just take the bag of pills was anyone's guess. That's not him when he's serious, Shikamaru asked. I've seen him open a rations bar with wind chakra. Shikamaru's was surprised. This wasn't readily apparent however, as Anara's rendition of surprise is a slightly less sleepy look. Isn't utilization of wind chakra a Chunin level skill, he asked. Sakura shrugged. I'm starting to debate that idea. He also used it to scratch his nose. His hands weren't even full, he just didn't feel like moving his arms. If nature manipulation is that easy, I'm starting to doubt our village's system. MRGH, Shikamaru said. His eyes started to droop again. Sakura stared at him. How are you tired again already, MRGHGH? Shikamaru grunted. What, Sakura asked. He said he uses a lot more brain power, so it makes sense he'd be a lot more tired. The answer came from Choji. Sakura stared at him. You understood that, yeah? Can't you? Sakura stared at him. XXX back down in the stadium. Kiba was on his last couple of pills. Aren't you getting tired of crushing these? They cost quite a lot, and you've set me back. A lot. Naruto, with pill dust up to his ankles surrounding him, shrugged his shoulders. I have nothing better to do. Honestly, I'm surprised you kept going as long as you did. Kiba smirked. A true Inuzuka never backs down from a challenge. To accentuate this point, he tossed another pill to Akamaru. The puppy bit at it, only for it to disappear right before his mouth closed. Dude, you literally snatched that from my dog's mouth. Yeah, I know. There's some literary irony in there somewhere, Naruto said while crushing the pill. XXX, you said there's a living, sentient Kune made of rainbows following us around. Yes, Sakura said, her voice even and her face straight. If she weren't the kind of straight-laced person she was, the looks they had thrown her way would have been more incredulous than they already were. You're lying, Ino said, arms folded. The platinum blonde wore some very fashionable purple clothes, and was tempted to use her family's techniques to see into her former best friend's head to find out what was wrong with it. I assure you that I am not. Just last week it came to check up on us as we were coming back from our C-rank mission. Naruto waved at it. I'm sorry, Sakura, but I don't believe you. How could a Kune have sentience? Choji asked. The idea was somehow alien to him. A boy who could grow to the size of a house. Fine. Ask Sasuke-kun. He was there. Sasuke, Sakura asked. Said Uchiha turned at the mention of his name. He raised a finely cared for eyebrow. Isn't a magical sentient Kune following us around? I wouldn't say it was following us. No. But it is checking up on us every so often. See, Sakura said. Face smug. MRFGL. Shikamaru yawned. Sakura turned to Choji. He said, but Sasuke isn't known to be the most mentally stable. His word doesn't mean much. Sakura turned back to the lazy genius. Shikamaru, Sakura yelled, before turning to Sasuke. Did you hear what he said about you? Sasuke grunted. I can't exactly argue that logic. Really. Spot on as usual. Nara, said. Nara grunted. HN. Sasuke nodded his approval of Shikamaru's response. Changing tactics, Sakura turned to her other teammate, Naruto. Isn't there a magical Kune following us around? Naruto, who was in the middle of crushing another pill, looked up from what he was doing to answer his female teammate. Well, he yelled. I wouldn't say it was following us exactly. While he was answering, Kiba managed to get Akamaru to eat his very last pill. Damn it, look what you did. Sakura up in the spectator's balcony. Sakura couldn't care less about her teammate's match. See, Naruto confirmed it too. It is common knowledge that Naruto is a prankster, Shino added from the sidelines. Sasuke, who was half listening, found it hard to recall the boy's name. His word doesn't mean much either to this. Sakura was forced to turn to her teacher, who was reading smut in the corner. She made to call him, then thought of his reputation as well, and stopped. I can't really ask anyone to validate this for me, Sakura whimpered. Ino placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. I'm sorry your team is full of untrustworthy people. At least you have that hunk Sasuke. Sakura sighed. Yeah, I guess. It only kind of makes up for all the weirdos I keep running into. If I encounter another high-ranked ninja disaster because of them, I'm going to cry. XXX Gaara sneezed. Since his sand usually kept dust out of his nose, he took the unfamiliar action as an attack on his person. Since he was using the bathroom at the time, everyone in that bathroom died. XXX back down in the arena. Naruto was sidestepping wave after wave of spinning dog tornadoes. You can't dodge forever, screamed Kiba from his dog tornado. My Gatsuga is invincible, Naruto yawned. Oh really, yeah, Kiba yelled as he was sidestepped once more. It's only a matter of time. Time is exactly the thing I have too much of. What was that? Kiba asked. Nothing. XXX so Kakashi, Sasuke asked. Uncertain. The Hatake looked up from his book, but seemed pained to do so. Yes, my cute little student, are you going to do anything about this? Sasuke pointed to the curse mark prominently spinning on his neck. Kakashi shrugged. Do you think I need to? Yes. Do you think he needs to? Sasuke-kun, a snake-like voice in his head whispered. Sasuke winced. Maybe then, maybe later. Kakashi grunted, before turning another page in his book. I don't remember you being this lazy last time. Kakashi looked back up from his book. What was that? Nothing, Sasuke stammered before going back to watching the arena fight. Naruto was still sidestepping the duo of dog and boy as they spun into him in literal tornadoes of power. They left gouges in the ground around him, making the task difficult, but possible. XXX, when are you going to give this up? Never, shouted Kiba in response. You're going to get dizzy. Not before we beat you, Kiba yelled back. Somehow his voice was being heard clearly through the tornado. Also through the fact that they were ricocheting off the walls of the arena. Are you sure? Naruto asked. He sidestepped Akamaru's tornado once more. You haven't hit me yet. Those were lucky dodges. Naruto counted the amount of dodges he had done since they started attacking. As he was doing so, he dodged twice more, and had to count those as well. All 48, 49 of those dodges were lucky, Naruto asked. Mid-dodge. He supposed that he should be annoyed by now, but Bolt had much more bull-headed strategies and much less sense, so he was used to fighting like this. Why yes, Kiba stammered. Naruto smirked. Kiba was getting dizzy. Oh, Naruto said. His voice was knowing, and that pissed Kiba off, which was exactly the blonde Hokage's intention. The tornadoes, which were dying down, seemed to increase in intensity. Alright Akamaru, let's hit him with a pincer attack, Kiba yelled. Naruto chuckled. You shouldn't discuss your plans where your enemy can hear you. Shut up, Naruto, Kiba yelled as he and Akamaru came from opposite sides of the blonde. Naruto looked back and forth between the two, judging the attack for what it was. To an untrained and uninformed eye, the attack would be sudden and hard to avoid. He was not untrained nor uninformed, so with practiced ease, Naruto stepped back, allowing the two to hit and knock each other out. Match done. Winner, Naruto Uzumaki the Proctor, a man with what seemed to be a terminal cough, announced. With a large grin, Naruto walked over to the two unconscious canines and congratulated them, before lifting them both and walking off to the infirmary. XXX Sasuke and, surprisingly, Sakura were unsurprised by the outcome of that fight. When Naruto arrived on the balcony, they just nodded to him. Nice one, Naruto, Sakura said, a slight smile on her face. Sasuke mirrored the expression. I bet my fight is shorter. You wanna know what isn't short? Shut up, snake bastard. Everyone on the balcony looked at the Uchiha as if he was crazy. It's none of your business. Is he still whispering into your ear? Naruto asked, uncaring of who was around him. He is. I told you he was annoying. Wait, who's annoying? Shikamaru asked. His eyes were, for once, both open and focused. Naruto, who had the great pleasure of having this man as his aide in the future, saw the look on the young genius face many times before, and quickly deflected the dangerous situation. The voice of his brother, mocking him. Yes, Shikamaru was not convinced. What reason would I have to lie? Shikamaru looked as if he were coming up with many such reasons. That was a rhetorical question. Then why do I have answers? Moving on, Naruto said, quickly guiding Sasuke to a corner of the balcony away from the rest of the children. The next match, ironically, called Shikamaru and some sound gen into the arena. Shikamaru, before heading down the stairs, glared at the two boys. Troublesome, he muttered, then was gone. Sasuke cuffed his arm around his blonde friend's head and brought him close. This brought quite a few stares his way, but they were all ignored. He's being annoying. Like, more annoying than he was last time. Naruto's eyes widened. How so? Forgive me, I'm not too well versed in the matter of cursed seals. Oh right, you studied seals back in the future. Do you have any idea how to get rid of this one? Sasuke bared his neck to show his best friend the cursed sigil there. The skin was red around 3 black teardrops that were seared into his skin. Naruto looked at it, before tentatively touching it. Sasuke hissed at the contact, but remained otherwise calm. Sorry, nothing doing. What do you mean nothing doing? Aren't you an Uzumaki? Don't you guys whisper to seals? Naruto raised an eyebrow, before stepping back and folding his arms. First off, no. Second off, even if we did, do you really think a seal made by Orochimaru would listen to whatever we said? I dunno. Maybe you don't even listen to what I say. That's not the point. The Uchiha hissed. Why, exactly? Can't you get this thing off me? Well, to put it as simply as I can, the seal employs natural chakra and a little bit of Orochimaru's own in order to bind a specific chakra matrix to your own, letting you utilize and absorb both. Wait, Sasuke interrupted, a hand to his nose to staunch the upcoming headache. Use smaller words. It scares me whenever you use more than one syllable to speak. Naruto glared at him. Glad I'm not the only one, Kyuubi said. Naruto glared at him as well, seeing as Kyuubi was currently inside of the blonde. This was a confusing action, but one Naruto managed to do nonetheless. Ignoring your rude comments. Basically Orochimaru has wrapped his soul around yours and anchored himself there with some sort of special natural chakra. Due to the nature of nature-oriented chakra, I cannot remove it without destroying your own chakra system in the process. Now, if you really want it gone that badly, I suppose I can. Otherwise, do it, Sasuke said. His face was set in stone. Excuse me, you can do it. So do it, the ex-Avenger said. He pulled down the collar of his shirt once more and sat on his knees, making himself comfortable for what would no doubt be an intensive procedure. Did you not hear what I just said about this? Naruto gestured wildly at Sasuke's neck with both of his hands. It would be a strange sight had not everyone else be focused on what was happening down in the arena. I did, and I've decided the rewards are well worth the risks. Naruto's eyes widened. Risks? There are no risks. Your chakra system will be shredded beyond repair if I did this. Guaranteed. It is a 100% certainty. No going back. That's fine, Sasuke said, voice even. I don't need chakra to be a ninja. If Lee could do it, so can I. Besides, you made it this far without a brain. How hard could being a ninja really be? He's got you there. Kid, you stay out of this, Fox. Naruto then turned back to his apparently insane friend. As for you, this issue can easily be resolved with the evil suppression seal until a more permanent solution is found. What the evil suppression seal? It's that one where people put seals all over the room and then suck them into you. Both children looked up to see Neji make his way over to them. Sasuke spoke up first. Oh right, that one. The Uchiha then shook his head. No thanks. That one took forever and hurt like a bitch. I'd rather you just remove the curse. Naruto stared at his rival. Removing it would hurt more. Don't care. Just do it. Sasuke then turned his head, ending the conversation while also exposing the mark. Naruto sighed, before going through hand seals. If I weren't sure time would reset, I would never do this. Chakra then started to build around the young Hokage. Starting off small, the blue power roiled and twisted until it was visible to the naked eye, moving and spinning with enough power to affect the air. Everyone in the stadium had little choice but to look at the blonde boy. What are you doing? Naruto Kakashi asked, his Sharingan eye exposed. The Jonin had tried to keep track of what was happening with his transplanted eye, but the power eventually became so concentrated that it began to blind him. Just giving the bastard what he wants, Naruto answered. His hands had started to blur. And what exactly is that, Sarutobi Hiruzen? The third Hokage asked. He had arrived amidst a trio of Anbu. 2 of such Anbu were immediately repelled from the sheer force of the Jinchuriki power. Sakura, who refused to be surprised by this, just watched as they tumbled to the stadium floor. He wants the seal gone, so I'm making it gone. He can deal with the aftermath himself. Neji, who was so used to the antics of his time-traveling partners, just stared, before turning to his military leader. His face was stoic as he spoke. It's best to just let them do this. If you don't, they'll just be annoying for the next few days, if possible. The eyes of everyone on the balcony widened even further. Neji, Tenten, his female weapons specialist teammate started. She opened her mouth to say more, but the force of Naruto's chakra literally blew her away. Neji glared behind him. Can you restrain that? A little no, Naruto answered. Sasuke rustled. Shut the hell up, Hyuga. I'm getting this thing off. Neji turned back around, eyes half-lidded. Forget it, I'm just going to wait until time resets. The Hokage's eyebrow lifted. Until time, wow, and then the world went black and white. The sudden shift in reality disturbed the chakra that Naruto was building, and he was almost shocked when it all disappeared. And there it is, Neji commented stoically. He waved his hand in front of the confused Hokage's face, noting exactly how frozen he was. Time has reset, Sasuke looked up at the Hyuga, enraged. What the hell? He was almost done. Naruto raised an eyebrow. I was nowhere near done. Just a few more seconds and Orochimaru would have been gone. Naruto's other eyebrow rose. It would have taken a half hour more. Easily. Now I'm stuck with this. This thing on me. Neji smirked. It was probably better than the alternative. Sasuke looked to his shoulder. Straining it, he was able to catch a glance of the seal that was definitely still there. In true Uchiha fashion he glared at it, then glared at Neji. Is a broken chakra network really worth it? Sasuke continued glaring. Neji didn't know what to make of it. He means yes, Naruto murmured, walking back over to Sasuke after having pulled a towel from somewhere. You can interpret his glares. He's glared at me a lot. Naruto then placed the towel, slightly wet, over Sasuke's shoulder. Sasuke visibly relaxed at the contact, though he continued to glare as an afterthought. It was much less potent, but Naruto slapped the boy in the back of the head anyway. The glare returned full power. What was that for? You don't look right if you're not pissed off. Of course. Sasuke's response to that was to glare. It contented Naruto. Anyway, Neji said, officially having enough of the bromance he was subject to. What is the towel for? Well, it has seals in it, Naruto said, pointing at the various seals scribbled across it. They dampen the effects of any seals they encounter. And why would you need to do that? Neji asked. Naruto looked at him as if he were stupid. Because Orochimaru is in there. The blonde looked honestly surprised that he had to explain something to someone else. Neji raised an eyebrow. Is he? Well, no, not particularly. Not anymore at least. Sasuke's head shot up. Who said that? You know exactly who said that. Slowly, all three boys turned to see a taller man standing behind them. His face was soft and feminine, but most of all pale. His eyes were slit, like a snake's. Not that you could tell fully, as one of them was hidden behind a river of long, oily black hair. He wore a modest kimono that covered the rest of his body, including both his arms and his legs. Why you? It seems we're in the past. I knew it felt odd when my soul appeared somewhere I couldn't recognize. The man then looked over to the onyx-eyed boy on the ground. That towel has Uzumaki restraining seals on it. I'm guessing that it's covering up my old sealing mark. Allow me to help you with that then. The man then walked over to the Uchiha. Naruto and Neji attempted to stop him, but were immediately dispatched. Naruto, you've become much stronger than I can possibly hope to be, but you're not in your old body. Please don't interfere. The man then looked at Neji. Aren't you dead? Aren't you? Neji shot back. The man chuckled. It was somehow both melodic and highly disturbing. I'm hard to kill. He really is. Both Naruto and Sasuke intoned. The latter quickly shut up as the man continued his stroll towards him. The Uchiha attempted to activate his Sharingan, but a quick flick in the forehead stopped that. How? I revived Itachi and asked him. Apparently the forehead thing deactivates the Sharingan. It puzzled the hell out of me that I couldn't tell why he did that. Naruto shouted from where he was thrown. Ha. I knew it didn't mean whatever bullshit you said. Shut the hell up. Naruto. Sasuke yelled. He looked back at the man. You. What that hell do you want? Why? To help you, Sasuke-kun. Bullshit. Why is that? The man asked. You never want to help me unless it benefits you. The man chuckled. I can be benevolent, yeah, and I can be homosexual. Both the man and Neji looked at Naruto. Naruto, in turn, looked at himself, before looking at Sasuke. Dude, you walked into that one, the blonde said. Sasuke rolled his eyes. He doesn't count. Listen, just get what you want over with and get out of here. The man looked around. Everyone around him was frozen in a black and white canvas. And where do you want me to go? He asked. When Sasuke growled, the man just chuckled and pulled the towel off. He stared at the curse mark, before clicking his tongue in annoyance. I was so drab back then. This is so sloppy. Remove it. Please. Oh fine. The man drawled. He put his hand, palm covering the mark, on Sasuke's neck. Now you may feel a little pain. Sasuke didn't know what to say to that. He attempted to stop the man so he could prepare himself, but the man didn't seem too keen on that plan. He immediately channeled chakra to his hand, then pulled it back. Immediately the black chakra started to unravel, and an inky black and purple substance started to be pulled from the Uchiha. Sasuke howled. Orochimaru. The snake Sannin started laughing uncontrollably. I knew I'd get you to scream my name someday. Eventually the blackness was pulled completely from Sasuke. With its removal, the cursed mark was removed from Sasuke as well. The Uchiha collapsed on the ground from the unbearable pain, while the blackness that was pulled from him roiled on the ground until it formed into the shape of a man. And from it, another Orochimaru appeared. Where am I? The man hissed. And who are? The new Orochimaru then noticed Sasuke on the ground. His face lit up in unrestrained glee. Sasuke-kun. The man hissed happily. Sasuke propped himself on his elbows to see what was going on, only to regret it immediately. There are two of you, he stammered, before fainting. Naruto and Neji promptly fell over laughing. Ignoring the two boys and the world frozen around him, the man attempted to lunge himself at the unconscious Uchiha heir, only to be restrained by the man who looked suspiciously like him. Who are you? The new Orochimaru finished his question from before. The first Orochimaru snickered, before removing his hand from his past self's shoulder. A seal was left there that began to glow. I'm you, but better, the future Orochimaru said, before cackling as his past self burst into unholy black flames. He bent down as his past self rolled on the ground in agony, unable to shed his own skin for some reason. And trust me, you don't want any part of that boy. Think of this as a mercy killing. Eventually the screams died down as Orochimaru's past self was reduced to cinders. Orochimaru resealed the flames, then turned back to the two boys behind him who weren't unconscious. Their laughter, only slightly abated from watching the man kill his past self, stopped when the Sannin focused his attention on them. Now, are you going to tell me why I'm in the past? The snake sage asked. Are you going to tell me if you're Mitsuki's mum or dad? Naruto asked imperiously, his eyebrow raised. Are you going to tell me how to use the talk no jutsu? Orochimaru shot back, his own eyebrow raised in an amused challenge. Neji blanched. I don't think these secrets carry the same weight. Both of the other two conscious members of the Time Freeze glared at him. They are, they both said. Neji promised himself to stay hands off from now on. Kiba, Naruto muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. He had spoken louder earlier, but the attempts just seemed so foolish now. And after we're done punching you, we're gonna start kicking you too, the dog-like boy boasted, his hands on his hips and his canine companion, Akamaru, yipping supportively along from on top of his head. Kiba, Naruto repeated, a little louder this time. His hand rubbed at the bridge of his nose to try to stop the oncoming headache, but he could tell it was a futile effort. And when we're done punching you, Kiba continued seemingly unaware of his former classmate's ire, we're gonna start biting you too. Kiba please, Naruto, said his voice now louder now that he could rein his irritation no longer. When it was apparent the dog boy had no intention to listen, however, Sasuke yelled from the sidelines, just kick his ass, Naruto, and apparently that was all that was needed. As soon as the proctor, a man by the name of Gecko, signaled the start, the two boys sprung away from each other. The one-on-one duel between Chunin hopefuls started, and it was to be the first of many that day. Okay, Kiba howled, retrieving a pill from his pocket. It's time to rock, Naruto. Are you ready, boy? Kiba asked his puppy. The little dog barked his approval, and Kiba grinned in response, tossing the pill up above his head for Akamaru to eat. Kiba growled in challenge. We're gonna destroy you, Naruto. Once Akamaru eats that soldier pill, you'll see why he's named what he's named. Naruto, his face scrunched up, just started tossing something small up and down in his right hand. A pill? You mean this one? Kiba looked up, only to catch the eyes of his still white puppy. Akamaru looked back down and, upon meeting his partner's eyes, whined in a very high pitch. Buddy, where's your pill? Kiba asked. Akamaru whined again, before staring at their opponent. Naruto just grinned. Catching the small object he was tossing between his fingers, he held it out to the two. Kiba's eyes widened. Is that your pill? Naruto asked. He looked at it almost wistfully, before crushing it into dust. Well, it was anyway. I'm sorry, Kiba, but I'm not letting you use that. Kiba stared silently at his opponent for a bit, before reaching into his pack and retrieving another pill. Carefully this time, Kiba threw his pill up to his dog companion, watching as it sailed through the air. Akamaru, jaws agape, tried once more to snatch it out the air, only for it to vanish once again. Deadpan, the dog boy stared at his old classmate, sure that he had the pill again. Sure enough, Naruto had it between his fingers. Why are you doing this? He asked. Naruto chuckled, before crushing the pill. It's funny, you can't do that forever. Kiba growled, pulling out yet another pill. Before he even tossed it, Naruto had it in his hand. We'll see. Dog breath, Naruto said, before crushing the pill once more. Now both Kiba and Akamaru were growling and, seeing what the challenge was now, pulled out his entire bag of pills. Apparently he was prepared for this outcome. Bring it on, Ramen Boy. XXX. Up in the balcony, the other Chunin hopefuls couldn't believe what they were seeing. Are they really doing this? Choji asked around a mouthful of chips. Sakura nodded, a solemn look on her face. You get used to it. You should see him when he's serious. Shikamaru glanced at the girl, an impressive feat seeing as a full-scale invasion probably couldn't rouse the boy from his sleep. I'm pretty sure that Naruto is moving fast enough down there to snatch the pill from midair and get back to where he was standing before anyone can notice. Sure enough, Naruto was doing just that. Kiba's bag of pills was just getting smaller, but the dog boy was not giving up. He had resorted to tossing multiple pills at once, but that wasn't helping. Why Naruto didn't just take the bag of pills was anyone's guess. That's not him when he's serious, Shikamaru asked. I've seen him open a rations bar with wind chakra. Shikamaru's was surprised. This wasn't readily apparent however, as Inara's rendition of surprise is a slightly less sleepy look. Isn't utilization of wind chakra a Chunin level skill? He asked. Sakura shrugged. I'm starting to debate that idea. He also used it to scratch his nose. His hands weren't even full, he just didn't feel like moving his arms. If nature manipulation is that easy, I'm starting to doubt our village's system. MRGH, Shikamaru said. His eyes started to droop again. Sakura stared at him. How are you tired again already MRGHGH? Shikamaru grunted. What Sakura asked. He said he uses a lot more brain power, so it makes sense he'd be a lot more tired. The answer came from Shoji. Sakura stared at him. You understood that, yeah? Can't you? Sakura stared at him. XXX back down in the stadium. Kiba was on his last couple of pills. Aren't you getting tired of crushing these? They cost quite a lot, and you've set me back. A lot. Naruto, with pill dust up to his ankles surrounding him, shrugged his shoulders. I have nothing better to do. Honestly, I'm surprised you kept going as long as you did. Kiba smirked. A true Inuzuka never backs down from a challenge. To accentuate this point, he tossed another pill to Akamaru. The puppy bit at it, only for it to disappear right before his mouth closed. Dude, you literally snatched that from my dog's mouth. Yeah, I know. There's some literary irony in there somewhere, Naruto said while crushing the pill. XXX, you said there's a living, sentient Kyune made of rainbows following us around. Yes, Sakura said, her voice even and her face straight. If she weren't the kind of straight-laced person she was, the looks they had thrown her way would have been more incredulous than they already were. You're lying, Ino said, arms folded. The platinum blonde wore some very fashionable purple clothes, and was tempted to use her family's techniques to see into her former best friend's head to find out what was wrong with it. I assure you that I am not. Just last week it came to check up on us as we were coming back from our C-rank mission. Naruto waved at it. I'm sorry, Sakura, but I don't believe you. How could a Kyune have sentience? Choji asked. The idea was somehow alien to him. A boy who could grow to the size of a house. Fine. Ask Sasuke-kun. He was there. Sasuke, Sakura asked. Said Uchiha turned at the mention of his name. He raised a finely cared for eyebrow. Isn't a magical sentient Kyune following us around? I wouldn't say it was following us. No. But it is checking up on us every so often. See, Sakura said. Face smug. MRFGL. Shikamaru yawned. Sakura turned to Choji. He said, but Sasuke isn't known to be the most mentally stable. His word doesn't mean much. Sakura turned back to the lazy genius. Shikamaru, Sakura yelled, before turning to Sasuke. Did you hear what he said about you? Sasuke grunted. I can't exactly argue that logic. Really. Spot on as usual. Nara, said. Nara grunted. HN. Sasuke nodded his approval of Shikamaru's response. Changing tactics, Sakura turned to her other teammate, Naruto. Isn't there a magical Kyune following us around? Naruto, who was in the middle of crushing another pill, looked up from what he was doing to answer his female teammate. Well, he yelled. I wouldn't say it was following us exactly. While he was answering, Kiba managed to get Akamaru to eat his very last pill. Damn it, look what you did. Sakura up in the spectators' balcony. Sakura couldn't care less about her teammate's match. See, Naruto confirmed it too. It is common knowledge that Naruto is a prankster, Shino added from the sidelines. Sasuke, who was half listening, found it hard to recall the boy's name. His word doesn't mean much either to this. Sakura was forced to turn to her teacher, who was reading smut in the corner. She made to call him, then thought of his reputation as well, and stopped. I can't really ask anyone to validate this for me, Sakura whimpered. Ino placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. I'm sorry your team is full of untrustworthy people. At least you have that hunk, Sasuke. Sakura sighed. Yeah, I guess. It only kind of makes up for all the weirdos I keep running into. If I encounter another high-ranked ninja disaster because of them, I'm going to cry. XXX. Gaara sneezed. Since his sand usually kept dust out of his nose, he took the unfamiliar action as an attack on his person. Since he was using the bathroom at the time, everyone in that bathroom died. XXX. Back down in the arena, Naruto was sidestepping wave after wave of spinning dog tornadoes. You can't dodge forever, screamed Kiba from his dog tornado. My god, Suga is invincible. Naruto yawned. Oh really? Yeah, Kiba yelled as he was sidestepped once more. It's only a matter of time. Time is exactly the thing I have too much of. What was that? Kiba asked. Nothing. XXX. So Kakashi, Sasuke asked. Uncertain. The hat-ache looked up from his book, but seemed pained to do so. Yes, my cute little student, are you going to do anything about this? Sasuke pointed to the curse mark prominently spinning on his neck. Kakashi shrugged. Do you think I need to? Yes. Do you think he needs to? Sasuke-kun, a snake-like voice in his head whispered. Sasuke winced. Maybe then, maybe later. Kakashi grunted, before turning another page in his book. I don't remember you being this lazy last time. Kakashi looked back up from his book. What was that? Nothing, Sasuke stammered before going back to watching the arena fight. Naruto was still sidestepping the duo of dog and boy as they spun into him in literal tornadoes of power. They left gouges in the ground around him, making the task difficult, but possible. XXX. When are you going to give this up? Never, shouted Kiba in response. You're going to get dizzy. Not before we beat you, Kiba yelled back. Somehow his voice was being heard clearly through the tornado. Also through the fact that they were ricocheting off the walls of the arena. Are you sure? Naruto asked. He sidestepped Akamaru's tornado once more. You haven't hit me yet. Those were lucky dodges. Naruto counted the amount of dodges he had done since they started attacking. As he was doing so, he dodged twice more, and had to count those as well. All 48, 49 of those dodges were lucky. Naruto asked. Mid-dodge. He supposed that he should be annoyed by now, but Bolt had much more bull-headed strategies and much less sense, so he was used to fighting like this. Why yes. Kiba stammered. Naruto smirked. Kiba was getting dizzy. Oh, Naruto said. His voice was knowing, and that pissed Kiba off, which was exactly the blonde Hokage's intention. The tornadoes, which were dying down, seemed to increase in intensity. Alright Akamaru, let's hit him with a pincer attack, Kiba yelled. Naruto chuckled. You shouldn't discuss your plans where your enemy can hear you. Shut up Naruto, Kiba yelled as he and Akamaru came from opposite sides of the blonde. Naruto looked back and forth between the two, judging the attack for what it was. To an untrained and uninformed eye, the attack would be sudden and hard to avoid. He was not untrained nor uninformed, so with practiced ease, Naruto stepped back, allowing the two to hit and knock each other out. Match done. Winner, Naruto Uzumaki the Proctor, a man with what seemed to be a terminal cough announced. With a large grin, Naruto walked over to the two unconscious canines and congratulated them, before lifting them both and walking off to the infirmary. XXX Sasuke and, surprisingly, Sakura were unsurprised by the outcome of that fight. When Naruto arrived on the balcony they just nodded to him. Nice one, Naruto, Sakura said, a slight smile on her face. Sasuke mirrored the expression. I bet my fight is shorter. You wanna know what isn't short? Shut up. Snake bastard. Everyone on the balcony looked at the Uchiha as if he was crazy. It's none of your business. Is he still whispering into your ear? Naruto asked, uncaring of who was around him. He is. I told you he was annoying. Wait, who's annoying? Shikamaru asked. His eyes were, for once, both open and focused. Naruto, who had the great pleasure of having this man as his aide in the future, saw the look on the young genius face many times before, and quickly deflected the dangerous situation. The voice of his brother, mocking him. Yes, Shikamaru was not convinced. What reason would I have to lie? Shikamaru looked as if he were coming up with many such reasons. That was a rhetorical question. Then why do I have answers? Moving on, Naruto said, quickly guiding Sasuke to a corner of the balcony away from the rest of the children. The next match, ironically, called Shikamaru and some sound gen into the arena. Shikamaru, before heading down the stairs, glared at the two boys. Troublesome, he muttered, then was gone. Sasuke cuffed his arm around his blonde friend's head and brought him close. This brought quite a few stares his way, but they were all ignored. He's being annoying. Like, more annoying than he was last time. Naruto's eyes widened. How so? Forgive me, I'm not too well versed in the matter of cursed seals. Oh right, you studied seals back in the future. Do you have any idea how to get rid of this one? Sasuke bared his neck to show his best friend the cursed sigil there. The skin was red around 3 black teardrops that were seared into his skin. Naruto looked at it, before tentatively touching it. Sasuke hissed at the contact, but remained otherwise calm. Sorry, nothing doing. What do you mean nothing doing? Aren't you an Uzumaki? Don't you guys whisper to seals? Naruto raised an eyebrow, before stepping back and folding his arms. First off, no. Second off, even if we did, do you really think a seal made by Orochimaru would listen to whatever we said? I dunno. Maybe you don't even listen to what I say. That's not the point. The Uchiha hissed. Why, exactly? Can't you get this thing off me? Well, to put it as simply as I can, the seal employs natural chakra and a little bit of Orochimaru's own in order to bind a specific chakra matrix to your own, letting you utilize and absorb both. Wait, Sasuke interrupted, a hand to his nose to staunch the upcoming headache. Use smaller words. It scares me whenever you use more than one syllable to speak. Naruto glared at him. Glad I'm not the only one, Kyuubi said. Naruto glared at him as well, seeing as Kyuubi was currently inside of the blonde. This was a confusing action, but one Naruto managed to do nonetheless. Ignoring your rude comments. Basically Orochimaru has wrapped his soul around yours and anchored himself there with some sort of special natural chakra. Due to the nature of nature-oriented chakra, I cannot remove it without destroying your own chakra system in the process. Now, if you really want it gone that badly, I suppose I can. Otherwise, do it, Sasuke said. His face was set in stone. Excuse me, you can do it, so do it, the ex-Avenger said. He pulled down the collar of his shirt once more and sat on his knees, making himself comfortable for what would no doubt be an intensive procedure. Did you not hear what I just said about this? Naruto gestured wildly at Sasuke's neck with both of his hands. It would be a strange sight had not everyone else be focused on what was happening down in the arena. I did, and I've decided the rewards are well worth the risks. Naruto's eyes widened. Risks? There are no risks. Your chakra system will be shredded beyond repair if I did this. Guaranteed. It is a 100% certainty. No going back. That's fine. Sasuke said, voice even. I don't need chakra to be a ninja. If Lee could do it, so can I besides. You made it this far without a brain. How hard could being a ninja really be? He's got you there. Kit, you stay out of this. Fox. Naruto then turned back to his apparently insane friend. As for you, this issue can easily be resolved with the evil suppression seal until a more permanent solution is found. What the evil suppression seal? It's that one where people put seals all over the room and then suck them into you. Both children looked up to see Neji make his way over to them. Sasuke spoke up first. Oh right, that one. The Uchiha then shook his head. No thanks. That one took forever and hurt like a bitch. I'd rather you just remove the curse. Naruto stared at his rival. Removing it would hurt more. Don't care. Just do it. Sasuke then turned his head, ending the conversation while also exposing the mark. Naruto sighed, before going through hand seals. If I weren't sure time would reset I would never do this. Chakra then started to build around the young Hokage. Starting off small, the blue power roiled and twisted until it was visible to the naked eye, moving and spinning with enough power to affect the air. Everyone in the stadium had little choice but to look at the blonde boy. What are you doing? Naruto Kakashi asked, his Sharingan eye exposed. The Jonin had tried to keep track of what was happening with his transplanted eye, but the power eventually became so concentrated that it began to blind him. Just giving the bastard what he wants, Naruto answered. His hands had started to blur. And what exactly is that Sarutobi Hiruzen? The third Hokage asked. He had arrived amidst a trio of Anbu. Two of such Anbu were immediately repelled from the sheer force of the Jinchuya Uruki's power. Sakura, who refused to be surprised by this, just watched as they tumbled to the stadium floor. He wants the seal gone, so I'm making it gone. He can deal with the aftermath himself. Neji, who was so used to the antics of his time-traveling partners, just stared, before turning to his military leader. His face was stoic as he spoke. It's best to just let them do this. If you don't they'll just be annoying for the next few days. If possible. The eyes of everyone on the balcony widened even further. Neji, Tenten, his female weapons specialist teammate started. She opened her mouth to say more, but the force of Naruto's chakra literally blew her away. Neji glared behind him. Can you restrain that? A little no. Naruto answered. Sasuke rustled. Shut the hell up, Hyuga. I'm getting this thing off. Neji turned back around, eyes half-lidded. Forget it. I'm just going to wait until time resets. The Hokage's eyebrow lifted. Until time wow, and then the world went black and white. The sudden shift in reality disturbed the chakra that Naruto was building, and he was almost shocked when it all disappeared. And there it is, Neji commented stoically. He waved his hand in front of the confused Hokage's face, noting exactly how frozen he was. Time has reset. Sasuke looked up at the Hyuga, enraged. What the hell? He was almost done. Naruto raised an eyebrow. I was nowhere near done. Just a few more seconds and Orochimaru would have been gone. Naruto's other eyebrow rose. It would have taken a half hour more, easily. Now I'm stuck with this thing on me. Neji smirked. It was probably better than the alternative. Sasuke looked to his shoulder. Straining it, he was able to catch a glance of the seal that was definitely still there. In true Uchiha fashion he glared at it, then glared at Neji. Is a broken chakra network really worth it? Sasuke continued glaring. Neji didn't know what to make of it. He means yes, Naruto murmured, walking back over to Sasuke after having pulled a towel from somewhere. You can interpret his glares. He's glared at me a lot. Naruto then placed the towel, slightly wet, over Sasuke's shoulder. Sasuke visibly relaxed at the contact, though he continued to glare as an afterthought. It was much less potent, but Naruto slapped the boy in the back of the head anyway. The glare returned full power. What was that for? You don't look right if you're not pissed off. Of course. Sasuke's response to that was to glare. It contented Naruto. Anyway, Neji said, officially having enough of the bromance he was subject to. What is the towel for? Well, it has seals in it, Naruto said, pointing at the various seals scribbled across it. They dampen the effects of any seals they encounter. And why would you need to do that? Neji asked. Naruto looked at him as if he were stupid. Because Orochimaru is in there. The blonde looked honestly surprised that he had to explain something to someone else. Neji raised an eyebrow. Is he? Well, no, not particularly. Not anymore at least. Sasuke's head shot up. Who said that? You know exactly who said that. Slowly, all three boys turned to see a taller man standing behind them. His face was soft and feminine, but most of all pale. His eyes were slit, like a snake's. Not that you could tell fully, as one of them was hidden behind a river of long, oily black hair. He wore a modest kimono that covered the rest of his body, including both his arms and his legs. Why you? It seems we're in the past. I knew it felt odd when my soul appeared somewhere I couldn't recognize. The man then looked over to the onyx-eyed boy on the ground. That towel has Uzumaki restraining seals on it. I'm guessing that it's covering up my old ceiling mark. Allow me to help you with that then. The man then walked over to the Uchiha. Naruto and Neji attempted to stop him, but were immediately dispatched. Naruto, you've become much stronger than I can possibly hope to be, but you're not in your old body. Please don't interfere. The man then looked at Neji. Aren't you dead? Aren't you? Neji shot back. The man chuckled. It was somehow both melodic and highly disturbing. I'm hard to kill. He really is. Both Naruto and Sasuke intoned. The latter quickly shut up as the man continued his stroll towards him. The Uchiha attempted to activate his Sharingan, but a quick flick in the forehead stopped that. How? I revived Itachi and asked him. Apparently the forehead thing deactivates the Sharingan. It puzzled the hell out of me that I couldn't tell why he did that. Naruto shouted from where he was thrown. Ha. I knew it didn't mean whatever bullshit you said. Shut the hell up. Naruto. Sasuke yelled. He looked back at the man. You. What that hell do you want? Why? To help you, Sasuke-kun. Bullshit. Why is that? The man asked. You never want to help me unless it benefits you. The man chuckled. I can be benevolent, yeah. And I can be homosexual. Both the man and Neji looked at Naruto. Naruto, in turn, looked at himself, before looking at Sasuke. Dude, you walked into that one, the blonde said. Sasuke rolled his eyes. He doesn't count. Listen, just get what you want over with and get out of here. The man looked around. Everyone around him was frozen in a black and white canvas. And where do you want me to go? He asked. When Sasuke growled, the man just chuckled and pulled the towel off. He stared at the curse mark, before clicking his tongue in annoyance. I was so drab back then. This is so sloppy. Remove it. Please. Oh fine. The man drawled. He put his hand, palm covering the mark, on Sasuke's neck. Now you may feel a little pain. Sasuke didn't know what to say to that. He attempted to stop the man so he could prepare himself, but the man didn't seem too keen on that plan. He immediately channeled chakra to his hand, then pulled it back. Immediately the black chakra started to unravel, and an inky black and purple substance started to be pulled from the Uchiha. Sasuke howled. Orochimaru. The snake Sanin started laughing uncontrollably. I knew I'd get you to scream my name someday. Eventually the blackness was pulled completely from Sasuke. With its removal, the cursed mark was removed from Sasuke as well. The Uchiha collapsed on the ground from the unbearable pain, while the blackness that was pulled from him roiled on the ground until it formed into the shape of a man. And from it, another Orochimaru appeared. Where am I? The man hissed. And who are? The new Orochimaru then noticed Sasuke on the ground. His face lit up in unrestrained glee. Sasuke-kun, the man hissed happily. Sasuke propped himself on his elbows to see what was going on, only to regret it immediately. There are two of you, he stammered, before fainting. Naruto and Neji promptly fell over laughing. Ignoring the two boys and the world frozen around him, the man attempted to lunge himself at the unconscious Uchiha, only to be restrained by the man who looked suspiciously like him. Who are you? The new Orochimaru finished his question from before. The first Orochimaru snickered, before removing his hand from his past self's shoulder. A seal was left there that began to glow. I'm you, but better, the future Orochimaru said, before cackling as his past self burst into unholy black flames. He bent down as his past self rolled on the ground in agony, unable to shed his own skin for some reason. And trust me, you don't want any part of that boy. Think of this as a mercy killing. Eventually the screams died down as Orochimaru's past self was reduced to cinders. Orochimaru resealed the flames, then turned back to the two boys behind him who weren't unconscious. Their laughter, only slightly abated from watching the man kill his past self, stopped when the Sanin focused his attention on them. Now, are you going to tell me why I'm in the past? The snake sage asked. Are you going to tell me if you're Mitsuki's mum or dad? Naruto asked imperiously, his eyebrow raised. Are you going to tell me how to use the talk no jutsu? Orochimaru shot back, his own eyebrow raised in an amused challenge. Neji blanched. I don't think these secrets carry the same weight. Both of the other two conscious members of the Time Freeze glared at him. They both said. Neji promised himself to stay hands off from now on.